Iniziale. And a couple of songs that pertain to the countries of the teams represented. "Oh Canada," followed by "God Bless America." Bill McCreary, the referee, and the All-Star Game linesman, Dan McCourt and Ron Finn. The Michigan State Spartan, Bob Essenza, who has been pretty strong for the Winnipeg Jets, and a guy who's been very capable for the Flyers this year at the other end.
Well, Pete Peters was supposed to start, but he took a shot on the index finger of his right hand in practice this morning, so Ken Reagan is back in there for the 36th time.
The last 15, Essenza has won 9 games. Budweiser Faceoff brought to you by the King of Beers. For all you do this, Bud, and this faceoff is for you. Bullard, Craven, and Tocchet with Murphy and Kartner. Interesting combination tonight on defense. Ellett and Momantha. Sykes, McElwain, and McDermott up front for the Jets. Phil Sykes, the one-time king, stepped into by Murphy, and it's Tocchet flipping it by Ellett and back down. Here goes Momantha back for it, pursued by Craven. Locked up by Craven against the wall, but Mantha able to stagger free. Help came from Sykes, and then Mantha able to bring it on further. Mantha tried to guide one ahead that Murphy cut off. And Gord Murphy just taps one back onto Tocchet, moves it along to Murray Craven. Craven trying to shake by the defense, but Mantha said no. And so back up ice with it comes McElwain. Just plays it back in. Shift change on now for the Jets. They bring out Ashton. The defense will be Numanen and Randy Carlisle. Howard-Chuck is out as a shot from Ashton is blocked away by Reggett. So Reggett gets his first quick surprise of the night. Puck centered, and Tocchet is able to grab that one. Laid it behind Ron Sutter, and it's turned along to Dale Howard-Chuck. Perennial 100-point performer. Puck cut off by Sutter and steered up the wing to Derek Smith. His shot is blocked away by Essenza, and behind the net they dig for it. Out front, Sinisalo a shot, and Essenza got that one, so he's had a surprise as well. Now Sinisalo stepped in two by the helmetless Randy Carlisle. To his side against the boards, they work for it. Numanen ties up Ron Sutter. Puck skipped along, and Pat Ellenuk is able to bring it back up for the Jets. Here's Ellenuk bringing it on ahead, and saw that one go to the corner and around for Reggett to turn on to Shel Samuelson. Then along to Sinisalo. Sinisalo and Ron Sutter, and the pass was tipped in deep by Derek Smith. He goes in along with Kozlowski, and they cancel one another out. So it's brought up by Frederick Olesen. Works it on now to Ashton, and Ashton just dumps and then comes for the shift change that will bring out the Fenton line. Back along it comes for Brian Propp. Little pass on to Sutter. Up the wing he's got Kerr, but blocking that one to the corner was Kozlowski. Now Kerr taken up to the boards. Centering pass is chipped away by Brian Propp. Propp goes right in after it along with Fenton. Along the boards it came for Kerr. Olesen moves in on him. Tim Kerr just able to pull his way around and one-hand one across the goal mouth wide. Brian Propp is there. Took a thump from behind from Fenton. Kerr tried to jam it loose, got it along to Linsman, then back to Propp once more. Tried for Linsman, but instead it was Kerr. Behind the net, Linsman centered, but Fenton was right there for the Jets. Fenton just glasses one off that skipped by Propp and is guided ahead by Kozlowski, but all the way down.
Excellent forechecking by the Flyers to start the game. And, you know, it's not a one-man thing. It's not a two-man thing. To forecheck well, you got to do it as a five-man unit, and all five guys were in on it.
Mantha with a pass, and that one brushed away by Chychrun. Now brought on further, and along is Smale. Winnipeg's representative in the All-Star game. Smale tried to get it on to Howard-Chuck. Still the battle on, and it's hacked away by Yuri Lotto. Taken by Kumpel, but given up to Eklund. Dumps it back, and Mantha one-timed one right on goal that had to be turned aside by Reggett. Faultily cleared by Berube, and so Lotto will go back. And away from the play, there was a hit. Who was it?
Tony Horacek just leveled Dale Howard-Chuck. You talk about an incentive. Tony Horacek hasn't played for a couple of games. Derek Smith sat out the other night. Both of them have had great big hits early. It really gets you charged up when you're trying to get back into the lineup.
Eklund's pass goes asunder, and so it's Mantha connecting back onto Smale. Winds it over for Ellett, and Ellett fires a good one that Reggett just turns to the glass. Chychrun to get it there. Chychrun bangs one around the boards, checked off his Bullard, but the puck came to Craven. Starts it ahead to Berube. Moving up with Kartner, the trailer on the play. Shoveled a pass that was through Craven, and Craven to the corner now with Numanen. Along it comes for a little pass by McElwain, dealt off by McDermott, and then rolled along by Tocchet. Bullard centers all the way back to Kartner. Wheels one, and that went wide. Rebound Tocchet chased right off by the checking of Paul McDermott. And the Jets started back up again. Here's McElwain trying to get by Kartner. His shot is kicked out by Reagan. Sykes to the back. Then over to Carlisle. Kept it alive and shot one that was blocked away by Murphy. Puck has to come all the way back outside and not be touching any blue paint for it to be an offside, and it didn't. Puck sent back in off the wall. Carlisle is taken out of the play by Craven, and the loose one grabbed up by Essenza. We'll wait for the stoppage of play. We'll return to the Spectrum with the resulting face-off in a moment.
Your Dodge dealer announces an automotive first, the guaranteed rebate. If these rebates go up this model year, we'll pay you the difference on Dodge's best, like $1,000 on Caravans, up to $1,500 on Daytonas, and up to $2,000 on full-size pickups. Only from your Dodge dealer. Nobody can match us. Not Ford, not Chevy, nobody. Hurry, final days. Offer ends January 31st.
See your local Dodge dealer today, where the spirit always shows.
3 changes in the Flyers lineup tonight. Chris Jensen was sent back down to Hershey. Scott Mellenby is sitting tonight, as is Jay Wells. They all played the other night. Derek Smith back in, Tony Horacek back in, Kerry Huffman. For the Jets, Thomas Steen, the big scratch. He's their leading scorers, even ahead of Howard Chuck, but he's not on the trip.
Pass comes up ahead to Ellenuk. Ellenuk sized up by Huffman, able to step through, drops it back. Oh, and Howard Chuck got the iron with a quick wrist shot and into the seats it sails. So the Flyers caught a break on that.
Oh, he's got a quick release, doesn't he? Dale Howard Chuck ended up having this one end up right on his tape. Little pass, he was right beside his winger, and boy, did he snap that one up high quickly on Ken Reagan. Dale Howard Chuck coming into tonight's game only has 18 goals. Yo, Adrian. I'd like you to meet my goldfish, Cuff and Link. The man is here. What is he shooting? Rocky 5, Sylvester Stallone.
And it is for Stallone that the ovation heads for the Raptors here at the Spectrum. 15:05 to go, first period of play. The scoreboard is blinking on and off crazily here right now. But right now is still functional, so play continues. It is Howard Chuck, a 3-on-1. Now across for a shot by Ashton that was wide as the Flyers were able to get back. Berube starts it back ahead on now to Ron Sutter. Can't get through the defense. It is brought back by Ellenuk. Moving along with Sean Cronin. And it is cut off by Samuelson. Cronin tried to step by, but Samuelson is able to control back up to Berube. Has Sutter ahead, flipped one for him. That is brushed loose by Cronin and dealt back up for the carry by Ellenuk. Run off by Chikrin, and help came from Sinisalo to turn it to Berube. Now the Jets able to fight it right back and deal it in deep. Shift change of defense being made now by the Jets. 5 shots for them and just 1 Flyer shot thus far, with 14:12 to go in the first period. Ahead now comes Lottle. Lottle starting in, got it to Kerr. Couldn't get a good shot away as Mo Mantha was right on him. And back out it comes where Lottle tests for it with Ellen. Followed up again by Mantha. Pass chipped ahead to Puslowski. Offside. Oh, a little over anxious on the far wing that time for the Winnipeg Jets was Smale, and that's what caused the play to be offside, or that had a great chance.
Well, Paul Holmgren knows what he's facing tonight, and it's really a different kind of hockey team, different from most of the teams in the NHL. Paul Holmgren agrees that the Winnipeg Jets resemble a European-style team more than anybody in the league. A lot of swinging, a lot of swirling patterns, and the reason they play like that is that they don't have a big hockey team. There's Bob Murdoch behind the bench. Boy, he's done a great job there. They have a great skating hockey team. They don't have a big team, so why skate in straight lines and end up in man-to-man battles when you give away a lot of size? The Jets like to keep the game in the middle of the ice, not along the boards.
Puck chopped away by Eklund. Kozlowski tried to help it by. Blocked off by Kerr, then by Kartner. Here's Mantha moving right in. Shoots! Save, Reagan, rebound, they score! And the Jets get on the board first at 6:18 of the first period of play. Paul Fenton converting the rebound of the shot by Mo Mantha.
Well, Mo Mantha wasn't in Philadelphia in a Flyers uniform for a long time, but a lot of people remember the offensive skills that he has. And here he took the puck and he looked up to notice that he had enough room to move in. And all he did was get a real quality shot on Ken Reagan that ended up being a deflectable rebound, or at least a shootable rebound. And Paul Fenton was right there to slip it under Ken Reagan. But Mo Mantha had all kinds of time back there, more time than a defenseman should have, and with that kind of time, Mo Mantha can do his thing.
Only one assist on Fenton's 14th at 6:18, and that went to Mantha. So the Jets have the early lead here as Carlisle goes in. Puck jabbed along to Tocchet. Tocchet wheeling with it, gives it to the back to Samuelson. Shovels one, knocked down in front. It may have gone off Craven. There'll be a penalty coming up against the Jets. Loose puck, scored! Tocchet! It took 24 seconds, but the game is now tied.
Rick Tocchet has been a guy that has been slumping. When he gets it going, he sometimes scores as many goals in as short a time as anybody in the league. He's a real streak scorer. And the penalty was being called on McElwain for pulling Tocchet down, but he didn't let that bother him. Tocchet got to his feet, fished the puck out from a whole bunch of skates, and from point blank, you saw him snap it by Bob Essenza. He has tied this game. And look out now. What the Flyers need is somebody like Rick Tocchet to take the lead offensively and to score a pile of goals. Remember a couple of years ago when he scored like 12 goals in a half-dozen games?
He can do it. He's had some 4-goal games as well as some 3s, including one of the 2 hat tricks the Flyers have had this year, and it was in the first game that the Flyers played against the Jets up in Winnipeg. They lost it 5-3. Pass ahead now to Tocchet. Coming across, though, is Randy Carlisle on defense. Craven and Samuelson get the assists on Tocchet's 22nd at 6:42. And it is Reggett, bumped off by his own defenseman, Murphy, but it is brought back up by Craven. And Craven just rifles one to the boards. Newman, in getting back, cancels out with Bullard, and now we'll get the icing touch-up. So back it'll come near Reggett when we come back. 12:49 to go. Period 1. Fenton is 14th. Tocchet is 22nd. 1-1.
Thank you. And so, Mayor, these swiftly flowing currents create energy, which in turn creates power, which in turn brings electric light to every house in the valley.
That's very impressive, Calvin. Thank you, sir. But the contract calls for bringing Bud Light to the valley.
No wonder we're over budget.
Bud Light won't fill you up, never lets you down.
Which in turn keeps the Bud Light cold.
Everything else is just a light.
On the eve of the municipal holiday in Brantford, Ontario, tomorrow will be the 29th birthday of Wayne Gretzky. We have the Jets and the Flyers in an early 1-1 tie. Los Angeles will be at Edmonton later on. Larry Rosen will be bringing you up to date on Prism Sports between periods. Rangers are in Calgary, and that another one of interest to the Flyers as this one tapped out. Now Sinisalo had that one knocked away. Samuelson able to roll it back in, and Sinisalo gets back onside as Taglianetti plays it. Along it goes, and it is brought back in by Samuelson with Sinisalo still in the zone, so offside. Looks like Sammy just got cut by a stick there. Wants to know why there's no fiver.
Well, the Flyers alumni hockey team played a game and had a good time in Hershey last night. And Saturday night, the team moves to Wilkes-Barre. The game is at 7:30. If you'd like information for tickets, there's the number to call. Area 717-821-1168.
Speaking of Hershey, the Bears are playing tonight Toronto's farm team in Newmarket, about 20 miles north of the city of Toronto. On now the puck sent for Ashton, gathered in by Derek Smith, but that one went off of Howardchuk, brought on now by Samuelson. Couldn't get by the defense, and the play winds up going offside after a collision with Dale Howardchuk.
You know, Mike, in our open, we talked about the Flyers playing kind of a zone defense, especially in the neutral zone. When you play against a team like the Winnipeg Jets, they have so many swirling patterns. If a guy like Shel Samuelson decided he was going to follow one of the checks, they really have ways of pulling you out of position when they swirl and swing and move into so many patterns. So what you have to do is basically block a lane, and that's kind of the zone situation I was talking about. Here's where Samuelson got hit. He was moving up on the play, and wow, did he ever get binged right in the face by the shaft of Elenuk's stick.
Here's Lottle moving ahead. Accidental or not, those are supposed to be called, but apparently Bill McCreary just did not see it. Chikrin with a pass on across now for Kerr. Brushed loose by Chikrin, left behind by Puslowski. Good second effort, but he gave it right up to Propp, who dumps to the corner. Off the boards it goes. Tim Kerr canceled out behind. Coming by is Linzman. Linzman couldn't force it loose. Goes back for some more, though. Off a Propp stick and back down. So Lottle and Chikrin will go back. Ken Reggett thus far has faced 7 shots, yielding once. And Essenza in the Winnipeg goal is 1 for 2. Fenton and Tocchet, the goal scorers in the game. Icing will be called here as going back to touch up is Kozlowski, and we get the stoppage of play. Flyers 89-90 yearbook featuring facts, figures, and full-color photos of all the players is now available at the Spectrum and all Showcase stores, or send $9, which includes postage and handling, to Flyers Yearbook, the Spectrum, Philadelphia 19148.
You can imagine the Flyers practices right about this time of the season, with the losing stretch that the Flyers have kind of a game-like intensity. You saw that list of scratches. A lot of those names were healthy. And you've seen the big hits that Derek Smith and Tony Horacek have laid on the Jets so far tonight. So there's nothing like sitting out or having too many bodies around to really pump a guy up and to force him to practice with that game-like intensity.
Yeah. Pittsburgh has scored in Detroit. Boston, home to the Islanders, has gotten the first game. We'll check goal scores for you. Larry will have a lot of that for you, too, between periods. Puck rolled along now by Laurie Boschman. Around it comes for Kozlowski. Tried to center, but it went off Chychrun. Now Boschman behind. Tries for Kozlowski. The shot, though, knocked away by Chychrun. And it is flung back out by Craven off Tocchet's stick, and so Sean Cronin will go back to get it. Cronin back behind the goal, pestered from behind by Tocchet, giving a good shoulder to the boards, and all the way down the ice it's sent. Cronin, one of the leading fighters in the National Hockey League, had the lead at one time early in the season, but it's very hard to keep pace with Alan May. In to get this now is Tocchet. Centered one, but that one is tipped loose, and here's a 3-on-2 for the Jets. Up the wing it comes to Howardchuk. Tried to steer it across to Smale, but the play was broken up by Kartner. Kartner's pass back checked away by Kumpel, worked ahead for Howardchuk. Smale goes to get it and just flings one across that's taken by Frederick Olesen. 10.5 minutes to go in the first period of our game, which is tied at 1. Puck squibbed back, Murphy to take it here. Flips one along for Sinisalo. Bumped back in by Olesen and brought back out by Sutter. Sutter with a nice cross move, drops it for Eklund, but it came back over the line. And so that play will have to be regathered, and the puck fired back in by Kartner. Around the roulette wheel it goes, and no one to stop it. And it comes back off to Black 14. Then over to Sinisalo. Has Eklund moving. Sutter, a shot! And a good pad save made by Essenza on Sutter's blast. Now it's drilled back in by Phil Sykes. Away from the stick of Reggett. He lost his stick, but regathered quickly and is back in his cage as the Flyers bring it back out. Eklund pivots, deals it back in deep. Going to get it is Ellett. Shots are 7-3 Winnipeg in this one. And if you're just joining us, the game tied at 1 over halfway through the first period. Sykes with a good second effort up the wing for McElwain. Able to get away from Huffman. Fed one to the slot, but Linsman was there. Guiding it back across now to Tim Kerr. Kerr and Brian Propp moving ahead. Here's Kerr. Backhander. Pad stop and a pad trap by Essenza. So play is stopped here again at the Spectrum in Philadelphia with a game tied at 1.
No takeoffs, no landings. Amtrak's Metroliner service. Washington, D.C., and glide away. Stretch out, strategize, relax. Private phones, hourly service. First class available. The power train to Washington. Amtrak's Metroliner service. New 6:55 a.m. departure.
Flyers had a good scoring chance a couple of minutes ago. Ron Sutter fed to Ilka Sinisalo. Then he followed up on the play. Dale Howardchuk. See him, number 10 for the Jets. He was at the bottom of your screen. Just didn't bother trying to get back on Sutter. And then Tim Kerr with that one hand on his stick until he released. Then he grabbed the stick with both hands and got pretty good wood on that backhand on Bob Essenza.
Around it's rolled to Kerr to Propp. Knocked down by the defense. And jabbed right back out again by Howardchuk. Striding back for this is Ashton. He may get there first. Kind of wishes he hadn't it. Thrown back up by Linsman, kicked away by Propp.
Well, there's something to be said for getting there second sometimes, isn't there?
Tripped up with Samuelson, and what do we have? A penalty coming up. Interference will be the call, and will it be Samuelson headed off? Yeah, that's the case. Okay, so a penalty to the Flyers. The Jets will have the power play when we come back.
Hey, Rick, you going to be there?
Yeah, I'm going to be there. Ole, you going to be there?
Yeah, I'll be there. You going to be there, Smitty?
Yeah, how about you, Scott? Are you going to be there? Of course I'm going to be there. Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Watch Shell Samuelson on the left of your screen, 28 for the Flyers. After crunching Brent Ashton in the corner, he moved back into the slot, and that piece that he got of Pat Ellenuk was enough for Bill McCreary to call it. Interference, 11:01 of the first. The Jets' power play, 13th overall. Their penalty killing and their defensive play is stronger than their offensive play. In that sense, they are similar to the Flyers.
Mario Lemieux has the second Pittsburgh goal, so his point-a-game string is up now to 37. The all-time record is Gretzky's at 51. Gretzky also has second place at a 39 and Lemieux third. And before he reaches 51, the Flyers will have 3 cracks at him, including the 50th game at Pittsburgh. Islanders are the 51st. Tocchet unable to get by. Laid back out, and pivoting with this now is Laurie Boschman. Boschman with 8:35 to go in the first. Rockets one around the boards. Comes back over to Tocchet. Tips one. And trying to get to it is Ellenuk. Nice finesse move back to Ellett. Dumps it for Ellenuk again. Brushed loose by Ron Sutter. And it's Tocchet moving back out now with Terry Karkner. And Tocchet will be able to walk it further before being hit by Boschman and dealt that one in deep. It's a good penalty killing there, and a lot of it done by Tocchet. 45 seconds gone on the Jets' power play. Ellett works back up the wing, and on with it Ellenuk. Couldn't get by Murphy, and Derek Smith starts ahead. Here's Smith wheeling back in. Fires a shot that is blocked away by Essensa. Olesen chased off by Smith. Battles there with Olesen, did Derek Smith, and now it kicked loose off of Ellett and is played by the Jets back in their own zone. 50 seconds to go on the power play. Jets deliberately try to play it out for McDermott, but it goes all the way down. They'll be given a icing penalty, and all the way back it'll come near the goaltender Essensa.
That was great work by Derek Smith, but it sure wasn't much of a pass by Dale Hawerchuk. He was the guy that came out from behind his net and tried to set somebody up at center. The puck was rolling all the way. Derek Smith so far has played with the kind of intensity that Paul Holmgren is demanding of his guys right now, and Derek Smith did not play 2 nights ago against the Buffalo Sabres. And he's a guy that's not used to sitting out. When you're not used to it, you've got to regroup very quickly. Very often what's happened is you go into kind of an emotional downtime, but the games come so quickly that if you ever get stuck in an emotional downtime, the game leaves you behind.
Yeah.
And you've got about 24 hours to get your act together, and Derek Smith obviously has done that.
You know, there's some teams that had to really rue the notion of this All-Star weekend because they were going pretty well. I mean, the Islanders were hot.
Right.
And lost the first game after the All-Star break. Sometimes you can spend too much time thinking about what got you there. Islanders are in action tonight. We'll tell you about that later. McElwain gives to the back now to Carlisle. Fakes the drive over to McElwain. Flips one in front off of Craven and wide. Dealt around now to Numminen. Down to the last 20 seconds of the power play. On to Carlisle again. Shoots one that is deflected away. Chopped loose to the board. Stepping for it and clearing it along is Sinisalo, but Carlisle holds. Gets it across. Numminen, a shot off of Reggett into the corner. McElwain can't reach it. Sinisalo back up now with Craven. Penalty time is up as of now to Shell Samuelson. And the Flyers have killed off the Winnipeg power play. 6:52 to go in the first period of this 1-1 tie. On with it comes McElwain. Can't get through. Controlled by Lynchman. Nice send ahead to Brian Propp. Fires, and Essensa will just wait with this one.
You know, Bob Essensa really got his break when Rick Bowness was coaching Winnipeg last year. Bowness had coached Essensa in Moncton in the minors in the American League. He also knew that he had played a lot of games at Joe Louis Arena when he played for the Michigan State Spartans. So in the middle of a bit of a skid when the Jets needed to test another goaltender out, Bowness thought it would be a perfect time to bring him up, and he played to a tie and had a super game back at Joe Louis Arena. And Bowness's thinking there was it was familiar surroundings since he had played in that building so often. It was a pretty good thought process, and Essensa basically made a lasting impression on that very first game.
Well, he's been just splendid, and I think the one thing that would be really heartening to the Jets is if they could get against Calgary in the first round, because this one goaltender has a tremendous whammy over the Flames. 6 wins in 7 outings. Just the one loss, and that was a year ago. He has won 4 out of 4 from Calgary this year. Here's Tim Kerr moving in, trying to flip one. Samuelson fires, and that one blocked down. Kept alive by Prop. Back to Samuelson. Big drive, and that tipped away by Mantha. Now it's Prop once more. Centers off Linsman, then off Kerr. Able to pivot away from Mantha. Kerr trying to get to the front. Boy, Mantha knew just what to do, didn't he? Right back up. Now come the Jets. They've got a 3-on-3 as it punched in off of Fenton and gathered and held by Reggett. So with 6:05 to go in the first, we have a stoppage of play in this 1-1 tie. Jim Turk Evers last weekend became an uncle for the 3rd time. Marie Breslin, his sister, gave birth to a baby boy, Joseph, and Turk's plenty proud. He has been a part of the Flyers organization since 1977, when he defected the Philadelphia Firebirds about 5 games into the season, and they were kind of steamed about it too, but Sudsy gave the call for him to come up to the Flyers farm team in Maine, and Sudsy beckoned, so Turk went. Didn't matter that it was overnight. I mean, the call went out, I go. Here is Lottle, along but off Tocchet. And then it is picked up and controlled by Sykes. Sykes getting away from Tocchet, flips one right into the glove of Reggett, and Reggett just hangs on again.
If you had to compare Jim Turk Evers to any comedian, who would you pick?
Oh, the guy that talks about pretzels and all that in Philadelphia. Oh, shoot. See?
Andrew
David
Dice.
Brenner.
I'd compare him to, now I'm going blank.
Well, I just did. Thank goodness Bob Ayers helped me out downstairs. Back to get this now is Sean Cronin. Cronin turns, lays one back off a skate, came back over to Lottle, steers it on to Tocchet, moves in and tries for Craven, and it's jammed right back out again by Olesen. Teams are at even strength with 5.5 minutes to go in the first period. Game tied at 1 goal apiece. Good hit there by Ashton with Craven, and we can get a halt to play.
Don Rickles. All right, Don Rickles. It just came to me. It was physical when this game started, but it kind of dropped off. Ashton has been hit hard twice. That time by Murray Craven. The first time was in the corner by Shel Samuelson.
Teams keep track of such things as individual hits, do they?
A lot of teams do. A lot of teams do. I think it's an indicator at times just how much contact certain players are making. And it's difficult to track unless you work carefully with the person that's tracking it, because it's open to interpretation, isn't it? What is a hit to one person might not be a hit to another person. So you have to be consistent in the person that's actually tracking.
Puck swirled around, and Horacek is there, but is able to touch it up for an icing. So the faceoff will come back near Essenza when we return here to the Spectrum.
Come visit Holman Lincoln Mercury and see the new 1990s waiting for you. Test drive the luxurious Lincoln Town Car with a powerful V8 engine. Offering safety and style, the Town Car is ready for immediate delivery. Check out the full-sized Grand Marquis, which offers more interior room than 98% of today's cars. The Cat is back at Holman, and with over 100 Cougars in stock, you can choose the luxury performance car of your choice. Take home your new 90 Lincoln Mercury or get a great deal on an 89 leftover at Holman Lincoln Mercury Maple Shade.
Here again at the Spectrum, where we're tied at 1. Boston leading the Islanders 1-0 in the first period. The Islanders have won 14 of their last 16 games. Dave Poulin is in uniform for the Bruins tonight. He had a couple of assists in his first game. He's wearing number 19 for Boston. Flyers play the Bruins Saturday afternoon. Then go to Washington for a matinee, and then into Pittsburgh before they come back here later in the week. So we've got plenty of home hockey coming up for you on Prism beginning right at the beginning of February. That'll be the start of the Flyers' longest homestand of the year. 15 days in which they'll be home for 6 games. So the schedule will slacken a little bit, and they've been looking forward to that. Berube knocked down, and it's tossed right back around by the defense, and then worked back out for McElwain. Along to get this is Horacek, brushed from behind by McDermott, and then Carter tapped him with his stick. Randy Carlyle walks it back ahead now for the Winnipeg Jets. A pass cut off by Kartner, and Kartner just lays one back. Carlyle is a rarity. Only 8 guys left to go without the helmet. Good hit by Derek Smith that time. Around it is worked by Numanen, but he lost it to Sinisalo. Carlyle will go after it, and Smith right in on him. Bumps up with him. Samuelson shoots one, and it goes across the goal mouth wide. Brought back out by Pozlowski, and then off of Fenton. It's played by Samuelson. Fenton to control. Over to Numanen in the last 4 minutes of play here in the first period. Flyers are trying to avert tying a team record for the longest streak without a win. It has been 11 games on prior occasions, with the most recent 18 years ago. Dropped right back in by Boschman, set up by Reggett, played by Samuelson, and wrapped around, but Kozlowski is there. Then behind for Fenton. Fenton chases to the corner, brushed one along to Mo Mantha. His shot deflected back out by Samuelson. Striding for it is Prop, but getting there is Ellett. Ellett with 3:25 to go in the first, and this game tied at 1. Reggett taps it behind, and it is Kerry Huffman to get it this time. In this 10-game segment, Kerry Huffman has had the best plus-minus of any Flyers defenseman, a +3. Howard Chuck pivots, watched by Samuelson. The shot deflected to the seats, and play is halted again with 3:08 to go in the first. Flyers and the Jets are tied at 1 goal each.
Kerry Huffman back in the lineup tonight. He has been kind of a swing man just about all season long. And with Jay Wells back out of the lineup, aggravated his groin injury, Huffman is back in, and Derek Smith is back in a big way. Big hit on Kozlowski in behind the net. Every shift out now tonight, Derek Smith has had a big body check.
Mark Howe out of the lineup, as Bill mentioned. Just doing some checking today. Without Mark Howe in the lineup, the Flyers have had 10 games without him this year. They are 1-7-2. Puck poke checked away by Lottle, given right back up to him, and so Lottle will hold back behind the net. Dumps it back off. Mantha run into by Mike Bullard, and play is halted again with 2:53 to go in the first period, and the Flyers and the Winnipeg Jets here are tied at 1.
Folks, let Rhonda Fink-Whitman and the rest of the Shadow Traffic team keep you out of traffic trouble spots. Listen to Shadow Traffic reports and Sunoco traffic updates. They're everywhere.
That's what the guy does behind me when I don't react to the light very quickly. Just lays on the horn.
In about a millionth of a second.
Isn't that the truth? Lightning-like reactions. Here is Olesen. Olesen watched by Bullard. Back up the wing it comes. Craven trips up his man on the wing, who became his man, Smale. Craven starts right back ahead. Pass, though, kicked right back to the defense. Given up to Tocchet. Floats one into the seats, halfway up the first tier. With 2:36 to go in the first, and back to neutral ice they'll come. Dave Maley out of action for a while for the New Jersey Devils with ligament damage. He's going to have surgery on his right knee, so the Devils lose a pretty valuable tough guy as you watch some of the action near the Flyers' blue line.
Good play by Murray Craven to break up that rush and then to head it back down the other way. Rick Tocchet just had it bounce up on his stick and shot it right over the glass. I don't even think it deflected off anybody.
Puck flipped back in and gathered by Taglianetti. With apologies to the Italian members of our audience, that's the way he says it. And any people of Italian descent always want to correct us on that, but our rule is we go with the way the guy says it himself. Here's Tocchet shoveling one in front, and Essenza turned that one away. Tocchet along the boards, had it kicked away by the fallen Smale, and it is cut off by Bullard and worked back to Chychrun, then across to Lottle again. Right back up to Bullard. Bullard, though, lost it off his stick, and it is just scooped back out by the Jets. Teams are just canceling one another out right now. Both have scored, but earlier in this period. 1-1 the scores. Ahead comes Murphy. Oh, and a big drive is tipped away by Essenza. That was a fooler, as Essenza could see it all the way, but Murphy just nearly overpowered him. Now it's Tocchet, nudging one, trying to get it to Sutter, and it's fought off by the goal stick of Essenza. Sutter left it behind, locked up by Taglianetti. Still they battle the boards, and it's Tocchet trying to kick it loose. Then played by Smith. Back it kicks, and it's brought on by McElwain. He's got a man up the wing. It's Sykes. 2-on-2, they move in. The pass to Sykes. He scores! Sykes scoring the goal on a feed from McElwain. It was a question of speed against speed, and Sykes prevailed.
Boy, that had to be perfectly executed. But once again, the Flyers get scored on late in a period. It happened in the second period against Buffalo 2 nights ago. Here with just over a minute to go. Perfect feed from Dave McElwain. Terry Cartner couldn't get back in time to catch Phil Sykes, who really put a head of steam on. And we have now seen some of that speed we were talking about up front on the Winnipeg Jets. Dale Hawerchuk is their recognized superstar. There are probably 10 to 12 forwards on this team that can outskate Dale Hawerchuk, and you just saw two of them, McElwain and Sykes.
McElwain gets one assist, and that's the only one. At 18:41 on Sykes' 5th of the year. You know, when you see Calgary play and how big and how rugged they are, they just take you to the corner and really work you over. You wonder how Winnipeg has had such success against them, because you'd think the smaller players would just buckle under against a bigger team like that just overpowers.
You know, we've talked to big people. Shel Samuelson is about the biggest guy that we've talked to about which type of player gives him the most trouble when he ends up in a corner. And he says the small guys, the quick guys. And most big guys will tell you that. Sammy will admit that in a second. So you take a Doug Smale and a Thomas Steen and a Pat Ellenuk. These guys work hard and they move very quickly.
Calgary's only won 2 of the last 14 games played in Winnipeg, and they could be very likely first-round opponents. Calgary is tied with Edmonton as the evening begins for first, and Winnipeg is third.
But, you know, part of the key is that Winnipeg doesn't play a Calgary style, nor do they play a typical NHL style, and that is one of the secrets to their success, is that they have a small team, but they don't play it with your weapon. They choose their weapon and force you to try and catch them using their speed.
Oh, Prop with a shot dealt right out by Essens, has spiked into the net, and does it count? Yes! The Flyers have tied the game on a goal that seemed to come from a high stick, but may have actually gone off one of the Jets. Now, if you knock it down with a high stick and it goes off a defensive player into the net, it still counts.
I think that's what Bill McCreary was pointing to. We'll see it here. It was Ken Linsman that got it. Tim Kerr tried to jam it in, then Linsman had a chance. I don't know if it hit anybody. Was he arguing that it hit Momantha's stick? But even on this angle, that was a close call. That puck looked like it was just about shoulder height. Watch it from the reverse angle.
That was above. At least it appeared to me that it was.
Well, when he finally stood up straight, hard to say. Close call. Still didn't see if it went in off anybody, but it sure does count. It's up on the board, and the face-off's the center.
Now, either what is being signaled now by Dan McCourtin in discussing this with the Winnipeg players is that Linsman had brought the stick above the shoulder but made contact when it was at the shoulder or below, thus it would count, or that it went off of Momantha. Now, had it gone off the goalie, it would not have counted, but off a defensive player, regardless of from where it is knocked down, it would still count. Puck forced along now by Kozlowski behind the net, out in front, trickled one across, they score! On a net mouth play, Kozlowski across to Fenton, and it is 3-2 with 15 seconds to go in the period. And what a backbreaker for the Flyers to yield here after they had just fought back to tie the game and done that twice.
You're not supposed to be able to outwork and outmuscle guys deep in the zone, though, and Kozlowski blew right by Brian Propp, and then 2 11s went at it. Paul Fenton had been pinned on the boards by Yuri Lottle, and then he let him go. Top right of your screen, you'll see the goal scorer just get around Yuri Lottle of the Flyers, and Paul Fenton worked real hard and ended up knocking Ken Reget's helmet right off his head. Hey, the Jets work hard. You've got to be ready to work hard and use your body against them, and that time 2 Jets just outmuscled 2 Flyers.
Well, they had one more flip at it as the horn sounded to end the first period. Shots on goal in that first period for the Flyers, 10, for the Jets, 12. The Jets get the lead by 1 goal 3 times. And both times that they got the lead by 1, earlier in the period, the Flyers came up with a quick one. But they couldn't this time, and so the Jets have the lead after the first period, 3-2.
Thank you.
When Rich Little takes his show on the road, Thrifty is the rental car he puts it all in.
Hey, I save money and I get respect at Thrifty. Thrifty rates are guaranteed worldwide.
In Philadelphia, rent a new Chrysler 5th Avenue with unlimited mileage at Thrifty, just $36.95 a day, 72-hour advance reservation required.
That's the way it is. Thrifty, a lot of car rental company.
For incredibly little.
Hey, no respect.
No, sweetheart.
Call Thrifty today.
As you can see, the house is completely renovated with the very best heating and cooling system.
Must be a Lennox.
So we put in this new central air, and our bills are really...
Down?
Exactly.
Must be a Lennox.
Our furnace? Not a day of trouble, ever.
Must be a good one.
Must be a Lennox.
It must be.
Lennox Heating and Air Conditioning. Since 1895. Must be a Lennox.
Attaboy, Dave.
It just got better. The guaranteed rebate from Dodge. Now, the guaranteed best rebates this model year are extended to Dodge's family of family cars. 1,000 on Dynasties, 1,000 on Spirits, and 1,000 on Sporty Shadows. That's the guaranteed rebate, only from your Dodge dealer. Nobody can match us. Not Ford, not Chevy, nobody. Hurry, final days. This offer ends January 31st.
See your local Dodge dealer today, where the spirit always shows.
I say, put on some steaks and get the Queen a Bud Light.
Bud Light's clean, fresh taste won't fill you up, never lets you down.
Henry, they're Pop-Tops.
Everything else is just a light.
Well, if you're Bill McCreary, you have no trouble making this decision. If you get a chance to watch it here, maybe you can decide if you were the referee behind the net. Flyers fans are more than happy to see this one counted. But Essenza made the initial stop, and the puck popped up in the air. Now, was the stick above the shoulder of Linsman when he made contact? That is the question. And now, as we look at it from behind the net, that becomes a very tough call.
Yeah, it was a tough call. It could have gone either way. In this case, it went the Flyers' way. But we mentioned the other night before the game against the Sabres that there are no easy marks anymore in the National Hockey League. When you're trying to dig yourself out of a hole, you look for an easy stretch in the schedule. There isn't one. You're seeing a very good hockey team in the Winnipeg Jets. They took what the Flyers gave them. They even took more than what they gave them in the Flyers zone in the first.
They worked.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. They outworked the Flyers in that first period of play, so that's something undoubtedly that's being dealt with in the Flyers locker room right now.
No, it'll be a tough second period for the Flyers now. They have to bounce back right now.
Larry Rosen will be coming along with our Prism Sports Report in just a moment.
Corruption, comedy. What a way to start the year.
20 minutes now in the record book here at the Spectrum. The Flyers are trailing the hard-working Winnipeg Jets. There's your score. It is 3-2. Good evening, everybody. In for Ken Adelberger tonight, I'm Larry Rosen. Welcome to our intermission studios. The Flyers and the third-place Winnipeg Jets had an unbelievable final 80 seconds of period number one. It leaves Philadelphia trailing by 1. Of course, we'll have highlights and analysis a bit later on. A trio of important Patrick Division battles. We are tracking them all tonight. First, the Red-Hot Islanders meeting the first-place Boston Bruins, where they're crazy about Mike Milbury, the coach up in New England. Pick up the action with Ray Bourque showing lots of patience before he finds Bob Sweeney breaking along the goal line. 15th of the year on the power play, a 1-0 lead for Boston. The difference, though, in the first period has been Rajan Lemelin. Here, he will stone the tough man, Nick Vikota, from right out in front. And then moments later, Lemelin able to keep the Islanders off the board again, and it's Hubie McDonough who's got the open shot coming around from behind. Lemelin keeps them off the board. So as we go to the scoreboard tonight, Boston 1-0 a lead on Bob Sweeney's goal. Ray Bourque got the assist. Elsewhere tonight, Mario Lemieux has extended his scoring streak to 37 consecutive games with a goal and an assist in period number 1. It is now 3-1, a Steve Yzerman shorthanded goal, the only marker for Detroit. Later tonight, the New York Rangers will meet the first-place Calgary Flames, and Hartford and St. Louis. Hartford, the best road record. They get underway a little bit later on tonight. One of the most prolific scoring duos in NHL history was broken up over the All-Star break. Bernie Nichols is now a New York Ranger, no longer a teammate of Wayne Gretzky. Prism's Ken Adelberger welcomes Nichols to the Patrick Division.
Although the drone of the hairdryers obscures their words, this is goodbye. Wayne Gretzky and Bernie Nichols are about to go their separate ways. For a year, they were teammates in L.A. Now Nichols will be 3,000 miles away in New York. They work so well together. For Nichols, 88-89 was a career year. 70 goals, 80 assists, 150 points. But something went awry with new head coach Tom Webster this season. Gretzky was playing more, Nichols less. And before he left Pittsburgh last Sunday, he let a few people know just how displeased he was with the coach.
He changed. He obviously tried to change the way I was. And, you know, and I said to him the other day, I said, you know, I don't care what you say. Okay? I'll make this team go. Okay? Wayne gets the credit. I said, last year, if you watched playoffs, I was their best player. okay? During the season, Wayne got all the credit, but everybody knew who the best player was, basically, you know?
Bernie Nichols has always been an outspoken individual. He's also gone on record saying that LA got the worst part of the deal in acquiring Sandstrom and Granato. The Rangers and general manager Neil Smith are hoping that Nichols' stick will do most of the talking. They've been in dire need of scoring. Duplicating last year's 70-goal season won't happen this year, but Smith is confident Nichols will score.
You know, his history shows that he's always been around the 40 mark, and I would think that you know, he'll do that for us. I mean, he's only 13 goals away from that this season, but I don't want to put any pressure on him to say what he can get. I just think that he'll be our best offensive forward, and I don't know what that says or what number that brings.
The question is, can Nichols take the physical pounding that the Patrick division is known for? Nichols is one of the league's best open ice checkers, but every night in a tight checking game, how will Nichols respond?
You know, I checked his stats when he played against the Patrick division, and they were pretty good. And he always was one of the leaders on the Kings in penalty minutes when playing against the Patrick division, so I looked for that. And, you know, Roger had coached him in LA a few years back, and Roger said he plays the same in tough going or in an easy game. He's just, you know, he keeps going hard every night. And with all the contacts we made, we make a million phone calls before we make a big trade like that. Everybody said the divisions won't bother him. If it's a tough game, he plays hard, and if it's an offensive game, he plays hard. So I don't really have a concern about that.
And that's it for this, our first intermission report. Scores, highlights, a conversation with Winnipeg head coach Bob Murdoch after 2. Bill Clement has analysis coming up in a moment. After one period here at the Spectrum, Winnipeg leads Philadelphia 3-2.
The 1990 S15 Jimmy from GMC Truck. Ranked highest among all other domestic vehicles in its class for customer satisfaction. Get that and more for less than a comparably equipped Jeep Cherokee. Just $13,133. It's that simple.
GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore.
See your GMC Trucking Team dealer today.
Monday. Go 50 years into the future with the cops of Jump Street as they take a special look back at the past. What will they remember? What secrets will they reveal? And what will they look like? You've got to see them to believe it. 21 Jump Street. Then, to some, it's a wondrous secret, but to others, it brings certain death. Experience the unknown. An all-new Alien Nation. Rent it for 21 Jump Street. Monday.
It all comes down to one special event, the 1990 Subaru Bowl, now being played at all 25 Delaware Valley Subaru Crew locations. Just reach into the Subaru Bowl and get a $100 to $1,000 bonus card. Cash it in when you buy a hot new Subaru Legacy, Rumi Loyale, Sporty XT, or Economical Justy. Plus, there's factory-to-dealer incentives and rebates on selected models, and anyone can enter a drawing to win the grand prize, a trip to the 91 Super Bowl. Hurry in and win big in the 1990 Subaru Bowl. It all ends January 29th.
Tonight at the Spectrum, we're not really talking about a couple of teams that are offensively explosive, but they scored a total of 5 goals in the first period. The Jets have 3 and the Flyers have 2. And Paul Fenton had a big first period. He scored a couple. We'll take a look at his first one. And the Jets, although they don't score that often, they work very hard. And as we mentioned, they skate a lot. That is part of their game. But in this case, it's just going to be some boards work. You can see 3 Flyers going back for the puck. And we'll let this run and show you that the puck will end up going over to the boards at the top of your screen. Pezlowski will go over for it, and we'll stop right here and show you what happens. Tim Kerr closes on Pezlowski. That's a pretty good play. But puck support is so key when you're forechecking, and Pezlowski dumps it back to Paul Fenton, who was over there to support. Once Pezlowski has dumped it, watch, he'll hook around here, and then Pelle Eklund will try and control him. All right, we'll stop and show you that Fenton now has broken up the play. The puck is heading out this way. And Pezlowski, as I mentioned, is swung here, and he's going to swing in behind and really get position on Pelle Eklund. So Eklund, for all intents and purposes, loses him. Terry Gardner then is going to have to move up on the play to take Pezlowski. Watch him move up. All right, we'll stop and show you what Gardner has done. He has broken up the play. Tony Horacek is heading this way. Tim Kerr is heading this way. And Terry Gardner tries to dump it up to them, but they're leading the play and leading the rush a little too quickly. Here's the guy you want to watch, Mo Mantha. He stands into the blue line. He's not buying that pass up to Horacek or to Tim Kerr. Watch him. He stands right in. And we'll stop right now and show you what went wrong. Tony Horacek turned his back on the play. He was hoping that the play would go Kerr and then Horacek, but it didn't. Mo Mantha stands right in here, and for some reason, watch Terry Gardner. He backs out of the play here instead of moving towards Mo Mantha. Watch Gardner. He backed out, Mantha shot, Paul Fenton right at the side of the net with a good rebound shot. So the Jets worked hard and played well positionally there to score that goal. All right, we'll show you the Flyers forechecking and an ensuing 3-on-2 by the Jets. We'll pick up the play right here. Gordy Murphy makes a good decision. Lots of traffic, so he dumps it in. He's got players going his way. He's got Rick Tocchet going in. Mike Bullard's out there, so is Murray Craven. Problem? Yeah, right about here. We'll stop and show you what happens. Both Bullard and Murray Craven have the centering pass from Tocchet bounce over their sticks. There is the puck, and away come the Jets on a 3-on-2. But a great defensive play by Murphy and Gardner. I'll show you why. Stop right here. We talk about backing in. If you give the offense this zone right through here, it's a killer. But both Gardner and Gordy Murphy, look at them. They're standing right up on the blue line as the 3-on-2 hits them in the face. Super play right there by Gord Murphy, breaks it right up. So they stood up and didn't give away the blue line. 5 goals. First one by Fenton, his 14th from Mantha, then Rick Tocchet from Craven and Samuelson, then Phil Sykes from McElwain. And then very late in the period with 35 seconds to go, Ken Linsman from Kerr and Prop. Fenton again is 15th from Pazlowski. 3-2 Jets, second period coming up.
This country is in deep trouble, people. This country is rotten to the core, and somebody better do something about it.
We have a very special guest with us. Kent is the classic American youth, energetic and resourceful, spoiled, perverse, and disturbed. Would you say that's an accurate description, Kent?
Barry, you should ask me if you want to have a guest on the show.
Why?
Because I'm the boss, Barry, that's why.
All you have to do is just be nice, okay?
I don't care what you think. No one does.
He's going down in flames, Dan.
So what?
You get the package and send down to the station. See, if I were you, I'd have my pretty assistant give the police a call. Take the bomb squad about 10 minutes to get down.
Bomb squad? Why should I call the bomb squad? Tell me something. I'm curious. How do you dial a phone with a straitjacket on it?
It began as a game. It turned into a battle. And now, it's out of control. Bud Bowl 2, coming January 28th. This time, it's war.
Your Dodge dealer announces an automotive first, the guaranteed rebate. If these rebates go up this model year, we'll pay you the difference on Dodge's best, like $1,000 on Caravans, up to $1,500 on Daytonas, and up to $2,000 on full-size pickups. Only from your Dodge dealer. Nobody can match us. Not Ford, not Chevy, nobody. Hurry, final days. Offer ends January 31st.
See your local Dodge dealer today, where the spirit always shows.
They're close in the number of saves they made, aren't they? Winnipeg with 12 shots in that first period and the Flyers with 10. We begin the second period with the Jets in the lead 3-2. This afternoon, Archbishop Wood defeated Cherokee in the schoolboy game here, or the high school contest. 8-2 was the score of that one. We apologize to you. Cable will probably never be a big hit in India where they have such a heavy monsoon season, because one of the natures of the technology is it can be greatly affected by heavy downpours of rain. And as all of you who have had the opportunity to look outside or go outside today know, we've had a lot of that, and we understand that it's affecting our transmission in some areas. We're sorry about that, but right now we're powerless to do a whole lot to make it any better for you. 10 seconds into the second period, we've stopped with a face-off to come near Ken Reagan.
Well, I'd like to point out that it was the weather that made me forget Don Rickles' name as well. Okay, so I'm using the weather as well as an excuse.
Okay, that sounds good to me. There's Dan McCourt. His brother Dale is known as much for a court case as he is for having played for a few years in the National Hockey League. Last I knew, he was playing over in Europe. Danny McCourt has been a linesman for over a decade in this league and worked the All-Star game in Pittsburgh on Sunday. Said before the game he came out onto the ice and he had an incredible sweat build up already, and I said, what have you been doing? He said, well, I'm a little nervous, so I was doing a workout down in the room just to get ready. Puck dealt back off the boards behind the net, Shell Samuelson, and Samuelson thumped hard, goes down, and working for this is Bullard. Bullard went down too, and the puck picked up by McElwain out front, a shot knocked down by Reagan, and he sits on it to get a stoppage of play. There'll be a penalty coming up. And out of all of this, the Jets are going to wind up with a power play, but they had a good chance to score coming from Paul McDermott.
Boy, did they ever. It was a point blanker. Ken Reagan made the save. He lost the puck. He didn't know where it was, but he had it all away, and Shell Samuelson's going off again. Samuelson tried the direct pass up the boards, and it never got that far. Went down and got back up again. Phil Sykes is having his stick held right there. There's Samuelson holding number 17, Phil Sykes' stick. But 23, McDermott had a great scoring chance just at the tail end of that shot. Moved right out into the slot. Those are the toughest guys to cover very often. The guys that are able to get out of the coverage in the corner man-to-man and make a break for the front of the net. Boy, you have to pick them up so quick, and it's not much ground to cover. What is it, 435 feet, and you're in a real good scoring chance.
Ellett working it back across. At the front of the net is Laurie Boschman. To the back it comes to Ellett. Fires. Stick save, Reggett. Rebound. Dealt off for Howard-Chuck. Boschman again right in front of Reggett, but the puck came back to neutral ice, and so it is Olesen to play some catch with Ellett out there. The other forward for the Jets is the man with it right now, Pat Ellenuk. Craven and Sutter up front. In back it is Kartner to work along with Jeff Chikrin. Just underway second period. If you're just joining us, it's 3-2 in favor of Winnipeg. Puck dumped back in. Reggett able to knock that one loose, then casually brushes it along. Ellett pinching in deep. They roll it behind quickly to Boschman. They work it around fast. Howard-Chuck is able to control. Howard-Chuck to the back to Olesen. Across it comes to Ellett. Finesses one over to Ellenuk. Ellenuk worked for Boschman. Then it came back across from Howard-Chuck, and a stoppage of play as, what do we have? The net dislodged behind Reggett? Yep, that's the case. They moved it around pretty quick, but they weren't able to really get much going, and part of it was because Boschman had his stick held at the front of the net, and he was the better player to go to at that point.
Well, Ken Reggett has seen 7 different forwards in front of him already tonight killing penalties. Paul Holmgren, because he has juggled his lines tonight, really juggled his forechecking pairings up front, and tonight Ron Sutter was supposed to kill with Ilka Sinisalo, but this last shift has seen Rick Tocchet out there, and now because the faceoff is in the Flyer zone, Murray Craven is out there with Ron Sutter, so make that 8 penalty killers. Prop, Linsman, Eklund, Derek Smith, Sinisalo, Ronnie Sutter, Murray Craven, Rick Tocchet have all killed penalties up front for the Flyers, and the game is only 22 minutes old.
Mantha and Newmanen go back. Boy, it's rare to see that kind of a mixture, isn't it? So many players involved in the same role out there. Moving in with it is Mantha, dumped on back for a pass back to him by McDermott. Mo Mantha just deals it in deep, and it is given back to him again. Mantha working it on across to Newmanen. Newmanen playing some catch. Kozlowski has moved to the slot. Puck dealt off to McDermott. McDermott there. No one has penetrated the 4-man defensive box. Now McDermott goes right in the middle of it. To the back it comes to Newmanen. Newmanen able to shuffle it and get it back again. Shoots one, deflected, in front, scrapped for, still dealt away by the defense of Kartner. Moved back in by Newmanen. Newmanen in. Has a man at the back, McElwain, trying to control away as Chikrin is working on a man at the front of the net. Big shot by Kozlowski, and that one blocked off by the defense and brought back up by Smith and sent back down. And penalty time is up to Samuelson. So the Jets had almost exclusively puck possession in the Flyer zone, but did not score. This one floated all the way down, and Fenton, the first one there. Fenton looking for the hat trick, but he touched this one as an illegal pass recipient, so play is stopped.
You know, on a power play, no matter how good your team is on the power play, sooner or later you're going to need somebody that's willing to take the beating in front of the net, and the Jets have somebody. Number 23, Paul McDermott, on the right of your screen. Got it out to Kozlowski, and that was the best scoring chance the Jets had on their power play. But man, oh man, Jeff Chikrin and Kenny Reagan both were taking pot shots at Paul McDermott, number 23 of the Jets. He never flinched, nor did he move. Here's McDermott trying to get set up. Boom, the cross-check. That's a tough spot to get cross-checked on, too. The number's right on your arm. Very often there's a little opening between the elbow pad and the shoulder pad. if it's out of place just an inch, a defenseman will cross-check you every time right there. And there's not much meat right there. You go about halfway down your bicep between your shoulder and your elbow. You just feel the outside of it. Not much meat there to protect against that cross-check.
Lottle takes some lumber, sent one in front. There were a couple of flyers in deep, Sinisalo and Kerr, but it was tipped away. Back around it goes to be swung by Taglianetti. Gets it back again from Frederick Olesen. Taglianetti working it back up ice, just dumps one in. In come the Jets, and they're the first one there. It's sent to Boschman, and a shot. Looking behind him, Reggett, as it bounced off of him and is hacked along, but back in from center ice, and so a stoppage of play. 16:56 to go in a second period that has thus far been a little scary for the Flyers. They trail.
When Mid-Atlantic was small, hungry bankers were tough on shoes. We were always out looking for new opportunities, for ways to meet customers' needs. The more Mid-Atlantic grew, the more people expected hungry bankers to go that extra mile. It wasn't easy, but it paid off. Today, Mid-Atlantic's a top-ranked super regional, offering complete banking services. Some people think we should relax. They must be kidding.
Well, the New Jersey Devils have sure taken strides in the Patrick division. Their last two games, two big divisional wins, a 4-2 win in Pittsburgh and then a 3-2 win in Washington last night. They scored with 3 seconds to go. So they're trying to make a move. They've been pretty consistent under John Cuniff, and Sean Burke has a big part of that turnaround.
Here is a chance. The pass was up for Sutter, and he had a breakaway in his mind, but not on his stick. Now it's Sutter trying to wedge to the front. It's worked off him and brought back up by Doug Smale. 3-on-2 for the Jets. Smale moves in. Across to Ashton, and a shot as Pat stopped by Reggett. And again, that was the Winnipeg speed really showing itself. Along the boards, it's played by Huffman. Deals it back across now for Smith. Trying to pinch it along was Mantha. Wrestles with Smith, and the puck squibs back to where Ellett goes to get it. Dave Ellett out of Bowling Green, dumping this one back off. That's taken by Howardchuk. Dale Howardchuk, nice pass across to Smale. Right back to Howardchuk, had trouble controlling and dealt one that was off the corner. Played now by Sinisalo, flips one ahead that is taken over two lines by Derek Smith, and so again play is halted. You can take a shot on one of the Flyers goalies or have your picture taken with the Stanley Cup at the 14th annual Flyers Wives Fight for Lives Carnival at the Spectrum Sunday, February 4th. Carnival tickets are now on sale at the Spectrum and all Ticketmaster outlets, including most Showcase and West Coast video stores. Or call 215-389-9426 during normal business hours. Why not call that number tomorrow and plan to come out and enjoy Sunday, February the 4th with the Flyers. Boy, New Jersey's starting to look stronger and stronger. I think New Jersey and the Islanders have had a real advantage in not having a lot of people out with injuries, too.
Yeah, when you trace the successes and shortcomings or failures in the Patrick division, and for that matter, all around the league, it is so hard to win hockey games consistently when you have key people out of your lineup. The Flyers are a good example of that. The Rangers are a good example of that. Boy, Washington without Scott Stevens and Rod Langway, hurting team.
Caps have lost the last two games with 3 seconds to go.
Both at home, too.
One against the Jets, and then their loss to the New Jersey Devils. Chychrun fires one wide. Tocchet, score! Who would have thought he could have got it through? But he did, and the game is tied at 3.
He's heating up. Got one in the first, has one now in the second, has made this a 3-3 game. Simple dump by Jeff Chychrun. But something simple turns into something real good when you're the first guy there to get the puck. Bob Essensa was not set for this at all, Mike. You know why? Because he didn't really know how that puck was going to come out off the boards, and for a second he hesitated as if he was going to go out and get it, and said, no, I can't get to this one, I'm going to get back. He never set up in time, and Rick Tocchet's quick shot went right under him, and the score is now tied 3-3.
Chychrun gets the only assist on it, and here come the Flyers again. Bullard fed one for Tocchet, but it's brushed away. Chychrun tapping one around. It is Bullard centering, and it went off of Tocchet in a cluster of players in front. Boschman starts back ahead, dumping one in deep. This is not a Winnipeg team, nor for that matter a Flyers team that scores a lot of goals in the course of a game. Puck dumped right back along. Chychrun goes to get it. Both of them have gotten 3 goals in less than half the contest. We've just played 25 minutes. Fenton had it knocked away by Tocchet. Down he goes. Penalty coming up to Paul Fenton. And so the Flyers will wind up with a power play out of this. 14:53, second period. Crowd has come to life, and so is Sean Cronin. Cronin and Jeff Chychrun, a couple of guys who throw him an awful lot.
Boy, Jeff Chychrun had trouble getting his gloves off and really got a slow start. You'd sure think that Sean Cronin would end up with the aggressor on this one. If that is the case, the Jets will be short a couple of men. But it took Jeff Chychrun forever to get that jackhammer loose, to get that right hand free of the glove. And to be honest with you, Mike, I didn't see how they came together. I didn't see how it started.
It was clearly Cronin's idea, the way he was wading into it all, but we'll pick up the penalty calls from Bill McCreary. This will be interesting, and it comes at a time that the Flyers have gotten the crowd behind them now, having fought back for the 3rd time from a 1-goal deficit.
2 minutes for hooking. Winnipeg penalty number 44, Sean Cronin. 2 minutes for instigation plus 5 minutes for fighting.
There you go. You may have noticed 2 punches on that replay. One by Chychrun when Cronin was down. That's how Chychrun cut his finger. We can pretty well guess that. Something else there.
Yeah, he sawed it off. I think he has Chychrun getting a cross-check in a fighting major. So it will just be a 5-on-4 rather than a 5-on-3 power play.
Well, there's Chychrun wiping the blood from his knuckle from hitting Cronin's helmet. And there he's wiping his ear. You saw Cronin sitting there with ice on his left hand. So Cronin really let Chychrun have one. It was kind of a left hook. And there's Cronin on the right with ice on his left hand. You saw both of those punches possibly on that replay.
Well, the Flyers power play will have Kerr and Tocchet and Eklund. And in back, it'll be Murphy with a right-hand shot from the left side and Lottle with the left-hand shot from the right side. Smale and McElwain will work as forwards for the Jets, and it'll be Mantha and Ellett to be the defense. So the Flyers with a chance here on the power play to take the lead in the game for the first time. Puck rattled around, and it is grabbed by Reggett and tossed back to Murphy. Gives to Eklund. Nice speed by Eklund. Accelerates for Lottle. Has to follow up himself. Chased back and wedged by Smale. And Murphy must go back further. First power play of the game for the Flyers. Gord Murphy right out in front with a play across to Eklund. Has Lottle up the wing. Dumped one for him, but it went off of Kerr and is guided right back by a sprawling McElwain. So 30 seconds have come and gone. With it is Tocchet again. Nudges it back on to Pelle Eklund. Eklund just gliding toward the Winnipeg line. Down to the ice goes McElwain. Puck fed off of Tocchet. Oh, McElwain was almost able to start away. Is wedged right out of the play by Lottle, and the Jets protesting there should have been a penalty to Lottle that time. Here's Kerr across for Tocchet, and Tocchet to the corner. Ellett able to knock it away from him. Rolled back around by McElwain. Then it's dealt further by Murphy. Pumped right back by Mantha. Sykes walled out of the play by Lottle. Lottle playing back at his own line with a pass that's broken up from Linsman by Ellett. Lottle trying again, and it came back over to Kerr. Finesses to Tocchet, then quickly to Linsman. Linsman reached, tries to dump one along, still battling. Puck came to Ellett, flipped it into Lottle. Then Lottle decided to retreat, not knowing that he had possession. And here come the Jets in a 2-on-1. They move right in, and Lottle broke up the play as he had Kumpel moving in on him, and he was able to recover after seemingly making a mistake at his own end. That was a weird sort of play. Lottle had knocked it down, but I think did not have the presence to know exactly where it was, and so he decided to play the safety, and the Jets wound up with a 2-on-1.
You know, 2 nights ago, Mike, he pinched in and ended up giving up a 4-on-1 against the Sabres. You had to know he's been told about that since then, and he knew he made a mistake right away. So this time he went conservative on it, but had he known he had the puck, he would have stayed in. He just didn't know he had it.
Penalty time is up. Fenton is over the boards, and we have the teams at even strength and the scoreboard even at 3 with 12 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the second period of this one. Kerry Huffman brings it back up for the Flyers, but his pass sails all the way down. Had to be played by Essenza. Lifts it along the board. Samuelson trying to keep it, but it bounced off of Ashton. Now played by Kerry Huffman. Spins one on the 360 to Bullard. Steps in with Sutter on his left. The give is to Sutter, but it's picked off by Carlisle and dumped back out. Huffman Allen just taps back in deep, and Randy Carlyle goes to get it. Carlyle tried to step away from Craven. Instead, it's Olesen wrapping one around the boards that Squib Loosen is taken by Sutter. Brushes it to Craven. Tried to lead for Samuelson. Here comes Dale Howard-Chuck. Can he get away from Waddle? Fakes. Shoots. He scores! Howard-Chuck, as Dale Howard-Chuck looked as though he was going to blast it, but he pulled the finesse move and tucked it in. It is now 4-3 the Jets.
You know, I mentioned in the first period that there are probably 10 Jets forwards faster than Dale Howard-Chuck. Yuri Lottle is closing the gap here and is going to catch Dale Howard-Chuck, but watch this move by number 10 of the Jets. Our cameraman even went for it, and I don't blame him. Everybody went for it, including Kenny Reagan, and as soon as Howard-Chuck went for that slapper and Kenny Reagan came out, he put his shoulder down and went wide. Lottle ended up catapulting right over Ken Reagan. But you just got a glimpse of Dale Howard-Chuck's greatness. He will be invisible for a great portion of a hockey game, and then there'll be one break like that, and you'll get a chance to see why he has averaged 44 goals a year for the last 8 years.
I wonder how he's been dealing with the rumors that he's headed to Philadelphia. This is his 6th goal now in the last 5 games. He has really been hot.
He said today that he doesn't think about it, and you know, you got to know that a guy that's in the superstar category is strong mentally, and it's something that he has no control over whatsoever. So why even think about it? If it happens, it happens, but that's it.
Ellett with a pass across to Mo Mantha. Mantha just sailed one in, and who do we have? Berube ready to go with McDermott. Got 2 unorthodox fighters here.
We'll watch the right or the left. McDermott's ready with the left and Berube with the right. I wonder how he'd score that one.
Ever notice what you get first when you rent a car at most airports? A bus. So why not go where you can rent a new car and save money? Take the bus to Thrifty Car Rental.
In Philadelphia, rent a new Chrysler 5th Avenue with unlimited mileage at Thrifty. Just $36.95 a day. 72-hour advance reservation required.
Thrifty. A lot of car rental company. For incredibly little. Why don't you call Thrifty today? Who's he doing now?
Well, we'll show you the dance before the punches. Craig Berube has picked up an extra 2. It's for slashing. Oh, Berube went down and then tried to come up real quickly, and McDermott was ready for him on that one. You don't see Craig Berube go down very often on a fight, but it didn't stop him from throwing punches once he went down.
That'll throw you sometime. I mentioned 2 unorthodox fighters. Really, there was just the one, McDermott, who was squared off to be the lefty in that one, and that can throw a fighter off, and maybe throw Berube off a little bit, but McDermott acquitted himself well, and Berube got the extra minor penalty. Kerr will go in to serve that, and the extra minor was a slash. So the Jets out of this emerge with not only getting the most recent goal and breaking the tie, Howard-Chuck from Carlisle at 8:02, but now they'll go on the power play. Off the face-off, puck came over to Olesen. Sutter working for the Flyers along with Tocchet, Samuelson, and Karkner. And Ellett will just walk it to his own net and then turn it back off, hoping for a return pass that came from Olesen. Olesen, little tap ahead, got it on to Ellenuk. Ellenuk pestered by Tocchet, across it came. Jabbed along deeper by Howard-Chuck, sent further by Boschman. Flyers registering some checks here as the Jets work it to the outside. The Jets all standing at the bench to watch this. Ellenuk to the back, it comes to Olesen. Olesen to Ellenuk once more. Olesen again. Finesses it across to Ellett. Olesen firing, and that one turned away. It may have gotten through to Reggett, or it may have ricocheted off of Howard-Chuck. We'll give Reggett a save on that one. Olesen with a pass that is tipped across by Ellett, fed over for Boschman. Cranks one, and he tried for the upper right and didn't get it. Kept alive, though, by Ellett. Ellett pestered, able to swing one back across for Olesen. Delayed offside will now be signaled against the Jets, and they're going to take this one all the way back down near Essensa with 1:01 to go on the power play.
You know, Mike, a couple of minutes ago, I mentioned that Dale Howard-Chuck said today that he's just not thinking about it. Well, sometimes that's easier said than done, because when he came off the ice after the morning skate, He walked by Mo Mantha, who was standing talking to Flyers assistant coaches Mike Eves and Andy Murray, and Hawerchuk got about 15 feet down the hall towards the Jets locker room, and Mo started yelling at him, Dale, come on back and meet the Flyers coaches right now. Come on and meet these guys, because he's been rumored, amongst other cities, headed to Philadelphia, as you mentioned. So a guy like Mo Mantha always keeps it loose. Come and meet these coaches right now.
Well, the speculation has always had Hawerchuk coming here for a goaltender. We watched this last play develop once more. It was Hawerchuk that got it, wasn't it?
I think that was Boschman. But you know, I mentioned a couple of nights ago that when you're right in front, sometimes you deflect them wide. Remember, Benoit Hogue scored, and he deflected one when he was about 6 feet to the side of the net. That's a good example of what I was trying to talk about a couple of nights ago. Sometimes when you're in front, you deflect the puck wide. You can only touch it when you're standing right in front.
Well, a school of thought. Well, here we have Derek Smith trying to step ahead, taken right out of the play by Mantha. Smith tried to hook it along, and we have a delayed offside that is now wiped out as the Jets come back up. 35 seconds to work on their power play, and offside is called. The school of thought says the way that Hawerchuk is playing right now, maybe he's not trade bait anymore. I mean, he's hot. But then the other side says, well, that's the time.
Yeah, well, you can get more for him. You know, Bob Murdoch said, when I said to him today, pick 3 guys that have carried your team. And he said, I can't. We have a balanced team, and we rely on our balance. But Dale Hawerchuk, all of a sudden, now that he's playing better, can command more in the trade market. I think he'll be gone before the trading deadline. I really think Dale Hawerchuk will end up someplace else. But Bob Murdoch is a happy guy. He likes his team. He loves living in Winnipeg.
Jets are still back on this power play now. It is Mantha dumping it around. It went off of Reget's stick. Turned back along to McElwain. To the back now to Ellett. Ellett over to Mo Mantha. To Ellett again. Penalty time is down to 20 seconds. Ellett controlling. Flips a prayer in front that is tipped away by Kartner. Dealt back to Ellett once more. Ellett scoops it off. Shot! Stick save made by Reget on McElwain. McElwain once more looks toward Kozlowski, who's crept in behind Samuelson. Shot tipped loose off of Kartner. Kartner able to get good body position on Ashton. Penalty time is up now to the Flyers, and the puck taken by Eklund. Turns it back loose to Derek Smith. He's got Kerr ahead and lays one off the boards for him. Tim Kerr steps to the corner. Leaned on there by Ellett, just bear hug to the wall. Along comes Ken Lintzman. Still along the boards, they battle for it, and the Jets just come by and take it. Kozlowski starting back out. It is Kozlowski dumping one to the corner, shift change on. Carlisle hops over the boards to work with Newman on the Jets defense. It is Prop connecting with Tim Kerr, moving along with Lintzman. Kerr trying to get through. Nice check by Boschman after Kerr had been held off by Carlisle, and back on comes Kumpel with it. Kumpel shoots one that is just snagged back off by Reget and turned loose over to Lottle. Chased off by the checking of Kumpel. And they battle along the boards with 9 minutes to go here in the second period, and the Jets still in the lead by a count of 4-3.
Well, if you're watching our game tonight and you truly are a real winner, then you know how to party right. Please use good sense when you drink. Know when to say when. This is a reminder from Budweiser.
Laurie Boschman's success has been based in part on his belligerence. He is not only the Jets' all-time penalty minute leader, but he is also one of their better face-off men and one of their tougher players near the front of the net. That's why he was on the power play there a little while ago.
Not that big either. Just about 6 feet tall, but he doesn't weigh what a normal 6-foot hockey player does. He's closer to the 170, 175-pound range. Just another of the many quick, small guys that Winnipeg has up front. And their system really does lend itself to success with that type of forward makeup.
Puck dealt back off to get it. Ellenuk, quick pass out in front, and Doug Smale was checked off by Samuelson. Ellenuk once more. Mike Bullard goes down, hooked the puck out in front of his own goal. Carlisle, a shot that didn't miss by much. It is Craven flipping, but Newman in keeping, and so the Flyers defense takes this over. It is Huffman drilling one down the ice, and Carlisle going back for the touch-up. 8:29 to go, second period of play. On Hawerchuk's 19th, the Jets break a 3-3 tie and have the lead.
Better, the guaranteed rebate from Dodge. Now, the guaranteed best rebates this model year are extended to Dodge's family of family cars. 1,000 on Dynasties, 1,000 on Spirits, and 1,000 on Sporty Shadows. That's the guaranteed rebate, only from your Dodge dealer. Nobody can match us. Not Ford, not Chevy, nobody. Hurry, final days. This offer ends January 31st.
See your local Dodge dealer today, where the spirit always shows.
Yeah, we're on. You'll see their eyes glance up toward the roof at center ice from where they're sitting. They think they might be on the center ice board too, but in that case they were not. Just going to all the homes that subscribe to Prism. And all those homes are going to have Flyers hockey into the middle part of this decade, thanks to a recently signed agreement. Ahead now comes Murphy, along for Sinisalo, then to Sutter. A shot snuffed right out by Taglianetti. Rolled along the boards, and in stride it'll be taken by any Jet. Worked on now by Sykes. Across a couple of shots, snared by Reggett, and then he's really hit hard by Murphy. And play is stopped with 8:03 to go in the second period, and the Jets having the lead 4-3.
Boy, the Jets moved the puck very quickly through the neutral zone. It went from Sykes to Puslowski, and Puslowski with a quick wrister. Ken Reggett's had to come up with a couple of real good saves here in the last couple of minutes. Here's what it looked like from behind. You know, I really think if the NHL played on European-sized ice surfaces, that would give 15 feet extra width, 100 by 200. The Jets would be a Stanley Cup contender. They'd have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, they still might have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. They're a decent hockey team. They're a balanced hockey team.
I don't know if I'd want to watch it, though. Be no hitting. Virtually none.
No, it'd be a lot of skating, though.
What do you think's going to happen when they move the net out 1 foot?
Oh.
How many goaltenders are going to be able to step out and handle the puck like they were able to before? Well, Hextall would be one, I think, who would, but...
You know what, Mike? I don't know what'll happen. That's why I think that should be tested in some other league, like any other major rule change, before it's implemented in the NHL. The high sticking major and automatic ejection should have been tested someplace else. I think the fallout of that, I think it's had an opposite effect for what it was intended to do, and now it's cut down on people's perception of violence in the league.
Well, Ron Sutter's going to get a penalty here. Delayed call is on. Around it is tapped by Reggett. Jets are going to wind up with a power play here. They have the lead 4-3, their second power play in a row. It would seem there would be that much space behind the net, and the goaltenders are going to have to be much quicker. They've got more ground to cover.
Sure. Here's the penalty to Ron Sutter. Dave Ellett, number 2 of the Jets, was just trying to pull away from him. You know, where you hook a guy on his body and when you hook a guy are so important. If you hook him right where Ron Sutter hooked Dave Ellett and he happens to be striding the wrong way, it doesn't take much to pull him off balance. Sometimes a guy will dive. Sometimes a guy will go down very easily just because of the positioning of his body and where he ended up being hooked. And the center of gravity is right about where the hips are. If you're off balance, it doesn't take that much.
If you're sitting at home and may have thought about coming to the game tonight, you could have gotten in. They had 94 locations still to sell, so it is not a full house tonight. 17,329.
Yeah, I mean, if Sylvester Stallone can walk up to the window and get a front row seat, well, he might have gotten a special seat, I guess, huh?
Maybe so. Howardchuk, hands on the wing. It's worked back by Ellenuk to Ellett, then back to Ellenuk once more. At the front is Fenton, hoping for a hat trick out of all this. Still, they work to the outside, and pivoting with it is Dale Howardchuk. Howardchuk deals it back for Fenton. Recovers for Howardchuk with 7 minutes to go second period. Jets ahead 4-3. Ellett a shot tipped wide by Fenton. Dealt along by Karkner. Ellett to keep it alive. Nice turn by Fenton along for Howardchuk, but it is Karkner there. Karkner flips. It's knocked down to a teammate, so that'll be a high stick, and the faceoff will be out. 6:43 to go in the second, and 1:13 still to kill on the Sutter minor.
You know, the Winnipeg Jets, Dave Ellett, play in that Smythe division, so there's a lot of travel for them. Bob Murdoch told me this morning that one stretch they played 14 games in 25 nights. They only ended up with 6 practices, and only 2 of those 6 practices were on days that they didn't have to travel on. You talk about developing bad habits and not being able to pull out of them. Well, Bob Murdoch said that's how we ended up going into a bit of a skid. It was during that time where we couldn't practice. And besides that, when you don't practice, there's no aerobic training. And you need 48 hours after a real strong aerobic practice to recuperate. And Bob Murdoch said our guys get out of shape too. We rely on our skating. And with the schedule and with the travel combined with the schedule, you just can't do it.
Oh, good shot by Derek Smith off the faceoff, and it is dumped along by Puslowski. Well, I think with the next expansion, if they bring 3 new teams in, that there'll be some realignment, and the Jets might wind up back in the Norris again, because you'll have plenty of teams available out west, assuming they expand where I say they will and where I'd like to see them expand.
Saskatoon and Regina.
Well, those were a couple that I had sort of put on the back burner.
Okay.
Ahead now comes Olesen. Olesen dumping it along, and it is rolled behind. Olesen tried to get to it, but could not. Pinching further is Kozlowski, but it's sent back down by Eklund. Now, if you put San Jose in with Los Angeles and Vancouver, Edmonton and Calgary, and then add Dallas or a team either in San Diego or down in the south, then I say you put Winnipeg close to Minnesota and Chicago and Milwaukee and develop some kind of a rivalry up there. That is, if Winnipeg isn't offside is called. If they haven't gotten to the point where somebody has wanted them to move. Jets have gotten about a 12,000 a game average this year, but they've always been rumored to be headed elsewhere, only because the fan support is limited.
Boy, Randy Carlyle just keeps on ticking. He's wearing the C, one of the few helmetless players left. But boy, the people in Pittsburgh were sure upset when he had won the Norris Trophy, then the very next year was traded to Winnipeg for Mo Mantha. They sit beside one another now on the same team. But Mo Mantha and a couple of first-rounders. One of them turned out to be Doug Bodger, so the Pittsburgh Penguins were able to parlay Bodger pretty well into Tom Barrasso. But Randy Carlyle has stood the test of time. He doesn't hit like he did his first 2 or 3 years, though. When he broke in with the Toronto Maple Leafs, whenever you got around the net or went into the corner, you knew that Carlyle was going to jump right into your chest.
I think the lack of a helmet has something to do with that. At the time he came into Toronto, a lot of guys didn't wear helmets then.
He just mellowed a little bit. You know who used to hit all the time and was the same kind of hitter and used to fight like a crazy man for the first couple of years? Brad McCrimmon.
Carlyle, a shot, got right in on goal with it, and Chychrun able to hammer it around, getting it on to Sutter. Penalty time is up, and the team's back at full strength. Sutter turns it back in. It's tipped aside. Going to get it is Boschman. Stepped into by Craven. Ron Sutter tried to point it. Pinching in is Murphy. Dumps it back for Sutter. Tries to pull away, but has his stick held. Loose puck picked up by Numanen, and he starts a rush back out. He and Laurie Boschman side by side. Smale the trailer on the play. Numanen can't shake through. Down to the last 5 minutes of the second period. Jets ahead. If you're just joining us, 4-3. There's going to be a penalty coming up. Cross-checking is the call, and it's going to be to a flyer. So the Jets will get their third successive power play here and a chance to further their lead.
Here's the last stop on our tour. The Fountain of Youth.
This one's on me.
How about an ice cold bud, young man?
I love this job.
Left of your screen, number 6 of the Flyers, Jeff Chychrun, just going to glide into this situation in the corner, but he glides in with a stick out front and cross-checks number 12, Doug Smale, right down onto his face. He's going to sit for a couple, and the Jets are on their 5th power play, cross-checking at 15:05.
Well, the Jets will use Olesen again. They'll have Howard-Chuck out as well as Elenuk and Ellett. And the face-off man and the guy who will undoubtedly head to the front of the net is the guy we mentioned earlier, Laurie Boschman. Linsman will be out along with Sutter up front. Samuelson to play in back with Terry Karkner. This is the 50th Flyers game this year. Karkner locked up against the boards. Another one of their segments is coming to a close, and it's been an awful one for them. They've gone through the whole segment thus far without a win. Puck work to the back now, and it is Elenuk handing it on across to Ellett. Ellett takes a look, slides it back across. It is kept there by Howard-Chuck, just waits, hands over to Ellett again. Ellett, then to Olesen, then to Ellett again. Shoots one that is deflected by Karkner, and it pops wide. Samuelson tried to nudge it along. Olesen there. It's chopped back out, and starting it up ice is Karkner, tripped up from behind with Sutter. Karkner trying to move ahead and then is able to play it back in. They might have had a break had Sutter not been hacked down.
Yep. You know, the Jets' only play on their power play is to shoot from the point because one of their guys is in front. But the Flyers are playing so wide because the Jets have nobody in the middle of their box, and that's why the Jets aren't able to attack. You'll see that the Jets keep moving it around the outside, never have anybody in the middle of the Flyers' box, and the Flyers simply expand their box all the way out to where the attackers are.
Hawerchuk leaned on, puck to the corner, and it's chopped back around by Mo Mantha. They work it to the outside, and let's just watch here. See how the Flyers develop this. Puslowski to the back. Carlisle a shot, and that one tipped to the seats by Murphy.
That's the only point of attack they have, is try to work a quick pass back to the point and then let it rip from there.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Philadelphia Flyers and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the expressed written consent of that same company. A lot of happy Flyers fans here. They'd be even happier were the Flyers able to tie this one. Guy got a little close to the barber.
Be a lot happier if their hair would grow back. No, that wasn't an accident.
No. That's by design.
I still think we should go to that look. I think it'd be a great look. Be very innovative. Be the only broadcasters around that look like that. I'll tell you what.
Why not the Mohawk look? I think that'd be a good one.
Either way.
Remember the Mohawks?
One could go one way and one could go the other way.
Yeah.
cut everything off but the Mohawk and just take a strip down the middle. You know, confidence is a funny thing, and the Flyers are definitely in a confidence low time right now. And you know, it's just about like anything of great value, though. It's elusive, it's not readily available, and confidence to an athlete is his most valuable asset. And all of these guys are trying to find that confidence that they had rolling for them in the month of December that left them very quickly after 1 second period in St. Louis on a long road trip.
Yeah, if you've got to saw it off right there and say where the bad part started and the good part ended, that's the point you'd pick, isn't it?
Right there.
Boy, that seems like a long time ago, too. First week of this month. Seems longer, I'm sure, to fans of Prism who have been following this team and just agonizing with it lately. Puck comes back to Mantha, across to Carlisle, a shot, and Reggett got a piece of that one through a screen as down to the ice went Puslowski. He goes right back to the corner to play it, has to contend with Karkner. 7 seconds to go, power play, and it's lifted back down the ice by Linzman, so the Flyers have killed off 5 out of 5 tonight. Pivoting with this is Randy Carlisle. Pass came on ahead. Walking it on, but losing was McElwain. Still the battle on, and a delayed penalty call is coming up now. And this is going to be against the Winnipeg Jets. So the Flyers are going to get a power play of their own with a chance to knot the game. 2:42 to go in the second. 4-3 Jets.
The 1990 S15 Jimmy from GMC Truck. Ranked highest among all other domestic vehicles in its class for customer satisfaction. Get that and more for less than a comparably equipped Jeep Cherokee. Just $13,133. It's that simple.
GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore.
See your GMC Trucking Team dealer today.
Well, Ken Reggett had to go for a quick equipment repair. I think his pants were falling down. Maybe his suspenders came loose in the back, but Kurt Munt kind of fixed him up. Flyers are about to go on a power play. Number 23 of the Jets, Paul McDermott, with that trip right there on Kjell Samuelsson, is off for tripping. There he is, tucked in behind Dave Ellett. McDermott's been a physical force in this hockey game. Had a decent fight with Craig Berube, taking a lot of punishment in front of the Flyers net in the power play.
Looks like a pretty good deal for the Jets, doesn't it?
Not bad. Pretty good deal. That's one of those deals I think that worked out for both teams.
Taglianetti chops this one along. It is Craven there, kicks it right back to the corner. Pelle Eklund cross-bodied from behind and worked over by Taglianetti. Still the battle on. Numanen is there, pawed right off by Tocchet. Tim Kerr tries to step loose with it, checked by Numanen. Puck lifted back on, and Taglianetti tries along the glass. Kerr able to get it from Craven, then sets it up for Murphy. Then Craven again. A shot is blocked off by Smale. Punched back along, and Craven kept it alive. This one flicked along by Sykes. Kerr in front. Eklund scores! What a beautiful play! And the game is tied.
You can't teach a play like this, folks. You either got it or you don't got it. Rick Tocchet kept it alive. Tim Kerr kept it alive. Pelle Eklund jammed her home. The Jets were killing this penalty so aggressively. They were forcing the Flyers. It took a couple of saves at the point to keep the play alive. Finally, when it went in, Rick Tocchet had 2 guys on him. Tim Kerr had a guy right on his back. But the Jets got too aggressive. Nobody was back there for Pelle Eklund. Does he like it? Yeah, I guess he likes it. Flyers have tied it. It is now 4-4.
Power play goal, second of the year for Eklund, 11th overall on the year for him. Kerr and Tocchet will get the assist at 18:04, and the game is tied. Puck feathered along by Reggett, and they say Mantha did not keep, and so there'll be a neutralized faceoff to result from this. So 4 times tonight, the Jets have gotten a 1-goal lead, and 4 times the Flyers have been able to close it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Flyers are now selling tickets for their 14th annual Fight for Life Carnival on Sunday, February 4th.
Talking it over. Boy, there was some great work, but the Jets finally did force too much. I mean, you can't just force aimlessly. We'll probably get a chance between periods to look at that and telestrate it and to show just how aggressive the Jets were in trying to kill that penalty. Hey, guess what? The Flyers have scored power play goals in 2 consecutive games. That's something that hadn't happened for a long time.
It is Mo Mantha to play. Sinisalo after him. Mantha's pass came right across to Kerry Huffman. Huffman floated one that's off Fenton and flicked back down. There'll be an icing call here as Huffman goes back to touch it up. And the clock is stopped with 1:23 to go in the second, and our game tied at 4. Larry Rosen will be along between periods to bring you up to date on all the other action in the NHL and provide the usual interesting feature material. Bill will be telestrating some plays, one of which he just hinted at between the second and third. Well, it's heartening for Flyers fans to see this team come back. It only took them 24 seconds after Winnipeg scored the first time. It took them 46 seconds after Winnipeg scored the second. So they've been a battling team tonight. Dan McCourt will put the puck between Mike Bullard and Laurie Boschman. And it's 1 to Tocchet. Samuelson. A drive was dubbed and came back off a skate to Tocchet. Turns around and draws Ellett with him. It's chopped back to Bullard, then over to Craven. Lean down, got it to Bullard. Bullard pivots, shoots one. Tocchet a backhander. And holding his ice right in front of the net and getting the puck was Essenza.
Boy, some great action and some great subplots. One was between Boschman and Mike Bullard. They were going at it the whole time. The Jets finally got into their tight man-to-man situation. There's Mike Bullard with Laurie Boschman hanging on him. Before that, Boschman had popped Mike Bullard in the head. But Bullard made a good move to scoop around and scoot around and get it in front. And then Rick Tocchet had his back to Dave Ellett. Hard to check a guy when his back is to you. A lot easier to get to his stick when he is facing you. And that's why Tocchet was able to get the shot on Bob Essenza.
I can't make out what that design is. Can you? The top of his helmet. Not sure if we're supposed to look at the white part or the blue part to try and get some idea. See, Hextall's easy. He's got the arrow there.
Yeah, right.
This one is just not clear cut. Here is Eklund trying to dig it out. Tim Kerr is there too, and it winds up being frozen by one of the 2 players who were down, either Kerr or Boschman. And so with 1 minute and a second to go in the second period and the score tied at 4, there'll be another faceoff near Essenza.
Well, Tim Kerr's shoulder came through its test the other night pretty well. Didn't skate yesterday, but skated this morning. And you know that if he's bent over like this taking a faceoff, and he won this one, his shoulder's not too bad.
Olesen pursued by Kerr. It's dropped off to Carlisle. Carlisle with a pass on now to Boschman, and Boschman just cranks one wide. Reggett watching this as Tocchet is there, and Tocchet able to touch up. Now, what was the signal for? I think there was a miscommunication. Initially, it looked as though they were signaling an icing. Then it became a delayed offside, and that was apparently what caused the stoppage of play this time. 40 seconds to go in the second period of this deadlock here.
Well, I knew I'd get our stats guru going when I said that the Flyers had scored a couple of power play goals in consecutive games, and that hasn't happened in a while. It's happened in the last 5 games, as a matter of fact. Not just the last 2. But the Flyers' power play still ranks 17th overall. Penalty killing is second, and the Jets third. We have seen in the last 2 nights here at the Spectrum the top 3 penalty killing teams in the NHL. The Sabres are number 1, the Flyers are number 2, and the Jets are number 3. And you know what? You look at the numbers, and the Flyers' numbers in general, other than the power play, the Jets have 4 notches on the power play on the Flyers. The Jets rank 13th, the Flyers rank 17th. Other than that, the Flyers' numbers are all better, except in the standings. They're not better in that department. And that just tells me that the Jets have been somewhat more consistent than the Flyers.
Games outside the division, the Jets are 500, 14-14-3. Flyers are 5 under 500 outside their division at 10-15-3. There are all sorts of ways that you can look this over and determine where some of the deficiencies are. It certainly wasn't with Reggett on that drive that came from Carlisle, as we're down to the last 25. But the close games, it's just a matter of not getting enough of offense in the games that have been close, and there have been just a bundle of those, as 12 of the last 13 losses have been by a goal. Sutter centers one. Sinisalo punches at it, and it's turned aside to the corner by the defense. Flyers are winning the battles to the puck here as the second period ends. Samuelson a shot that flapped wide, and so it is the Jets this time who have to feel that they have escaped near the end of a period with nothing but a tie. Shots on goal in the period for the Flyers 5, and for the Winnipeg Jets 17. 2 period totals, Jets 29, Flyers 15. Flyers had the better run of it over the last 5 minutes of that period after the Jets had dominated earlier. More in a moment.
Macho time! Give me a break, Hector. I don't see nothing macho about you. So let's get down, brother. This is gonna be war. You definitely won't be undefeated after February. What do you know about leaving the ring? Leave your sissy clothes at home.
Live from Trump Plaza in Atlantic City on pay-per-view, Saturday, February 3rd. Camacho, Pazienza, put up or shut up for the World Junior Welterweight Championship.
Leviathan.
Flyers only had 5 shots on Bob Essensa in the second period. 2 of them went in. They were all from close range, including this one. Nice turnaround pass from Mike Bullard right on the tape. Rick Tocchet was able to get what had to be kind of a blind shot on that. He didn't know where it was going, but he got decent wood on it. But you saw Essensa down. You know, for a kid, he has pretty good anticipation of where he should be in a tight situation. And I consider a close shot like that with traffic around you a tight situation.
Well, I saw the Flyers, and that's a good example right there, being a little more confident in close to at least try something like that. Bullard didn't have a play, so he shoveled to Tocchet. And in past games, we haven't seen that kind of savvy in close that these guys are capable of bringing on.
I think the Flyers are getting some of the offensive confidence back, but it also, lack of confidence also shows at times in the defensive zone. And in the first period, there were lapses. Haven't seen any since then. I think the Flyers are slowly but surely pulling it all together.
Winnipeg Jets coach Bob Murdoch will be the subject of a Larry Rosen feature. That coming up when we come back.
Hey, Rick, you gonna be there? Yeah, I'm gonna be there. Ole, you gonna be there?
Yeah, I'll be there. You gonna be there, Smitty?
Yeah, how about you, Scott? Are you gonna be there? Of course I'm gonna be there. Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Monday, go 50 years into the future with the cops of Jump Street as they take a special look back at the past. What will they remember? What secrets will they reveal? And what will they look like? You've got to see them to believe it. 21 Jump Street. Then, to some, it's a wondrous secret, but to others, it brings certain death. Experience the unknown. An all-new alien nation. Rented for 21 Jump Street, Monday.
The most critical 20 minutes of the season remain here at the Spectrum. The Flyers look to break a 10-game winless streak. We are tied at 4 after 2 periods of play. Welcome back, everybody, to our intermission studios. In for Ken Adelberger, I'm Larry Rosen. The Flyers are 4-16 this year in one-goal games. They're likely to be in another one right now. We're tied at 4 after 2 periods of play. By night's end, there could be several changes in the Patrick Division standings. 4 teams in action. First, we check the Boston Garden, Mike Milbury, where the Islanders look for a win and a first-place tie. Pick up the action early. Bob Sweeney will walk in from the slot and get the pass from Ray Bourque and tip it by for a 1-0 Boston lead. You want to see good power play execution? Watch the Islanders here as they work the perimeter and then cross the slot. The man with the open net is Doug Crossman, the former Flyer. His 10th of the year from Flatley and LaFontaine. It is tied at 1. Move on now to Dave Christian, giving Boston the lead off a nice goal-mouth scramble. It will be his 8th goal of the season, wide open net. 2-1, the score at that point. But a good fortuitous bounce of the puck for the Islanders leaves Pat Flatley sliding through the crease and throws it by to tie the game at 2, and that's where we stand. It is 2-2 Islanders and Boston Bruins. Of course, the Islanders could tie the Devils for first place with a win tonight. Also tonight in Detroit, Pittsburgh has a 3-1 lead. Mario Lemieux, his 35th goal extends his game-scoring streak 1 point at least in 37 consecutive games. The best home record belongs to Calgary. They're hosting New York. That game gets underway a bit later. The best road record in hockey belongs to Hartford. They're on the road at St. Louis. That game is scoreless right now in the first period of play. And 2 of the coldest teams in hockey, LA and Edmonton, also get underway at 9:30 or so tonight. Tonight's 2 head coaches have a bit of an ironic tie to former Flyers head man Mike Keenan. Keenan's departure from Philadelphia opened the door for Paul Holmgren. His arrival in Chicago ushered out tonight's coach, Bob Murdoch. Prism's Ken Adelberger asked Murdoch about his final days with the Blackhawks.
The experience in Chicago was a great experience. They gave me an opportunity to coach in the National Hockey League. I loved the year there. Now, I don't like the way they handled it, and you're right, it was a bit of a surprise because just before that, I'd been assured that we weren't making any changes. But obviously, Mike's a good person. He was available, and the owner hired him.
The coaching change was a very awkward situation for Murdoch, since his status with the Blackhawks was left up in the air.
What happened was after the press conference of the hiring of Mike Keenan, I finally phoned the Chicago office and asked if we were co-coaches or whether they were letting me go or not, because they really didn't ever inform me that I was being let go. It was a little embarrassing, you know, but on the other hand, the fans were great in Chicago. The players were great. I really enjoyed the year there. It made me a stronger person. It made me a better coach. It made me a better person, and as a result, I'm obviously able to handle this situation a little better.
Looking back now, Murdoch realizes that when the Blackhawks got the chance to hire Mike Keenan, it was an opportunity they just couldn't pass up.
In all fairness to them, Mike Keenan's a pretty good hockey man. He has a great record. He's a pretty good hockey coach, and I think they're looking at him for management. I think when the owner hired Mike Keenan, I became the odd man out. I don't think it was a reflection of my performance or their thoughts of me. It was just the fact that Mike Keenan was available. So I don't harbor any ill feelings. They gave me that opportunity to coach, and I enjoyed it.
And now to tonight's high school hockey report featuring Archbishop Wood and Cherokee High Schools. And our Prism player of the game, a 15-year-old right wing by the name of Eric McMinn. He's from Archbishop Wood. Look at the move. Dipsy-do, pass 2 and a third, and the goalie, the backhander is a goal. Archbishop Wood winds up winning an 8-3 game today against Cherokee to raise the record to 6-6-1. Cherokee is now 3-8. Interestingly enough, that young man, Eric McMinn, is the youngest player on Archbishop Wood's team. He is in 9th grade and a right winger. Also played baseball, was an all-star in the Montgo Baseball League, and he'd like to go to college and play some hockey, but that's a bit of a ways away for the 9th grader, our player of the game, Eric McMinn. And that wraps up this, our second intermission Prism Sports Report. More coming up post-game should time permit. Now, though, stay tuned for the third period and analysis from Bill Clement. Once again, after 2 periods of play tonight, live from the Spectrum, Flyers and Jets are tied at 4.
Your Dodge dealer announces an automotive first, the guaranteed rebate. If these rebates go up this model year, we'll pay you the difference on Dodge's best, like $1,000 on Caravans, up to $1,500 on Daytonas, and up to $2,000 on full-size pickups. Only from your Dodge dealer. Nobody can match us. Not Ford, not Chevy, nobody. Hurry, final days. Offer ends January 31st.
See your local Dodge dealer today, where the spirit always shows.
hilarious antics, clever disguises, and a madcap chase for one of Ringo Starr's legendary rings can only mean one thing. The Beatles are at it again. Help.
She's all ours.
Nice place. How about some customers? Ladies' night.
Great place, guys. Who did your decorating?
4-4 at the end of 2. Let's get at it. I want to take a look at a little Flyers penalty killing here, and we'll pick it up with the Jets crossing the blue line right here. They're going to get in. They're going to set up. We're going to show you the Flyers' configuration in their penalty killing. They stay wide when nothing is in the middle of their box, and they played it pretty aggressively and real smart. Now we'll stop right here and show you nice compact box semi-diamond. And the reason that this penalty killer Eklund is back in there, he's trying to guard against the seam pass over here to Howardchuk. So the Jets, you can see, are on the outside. Nobody in the middle. Finally, they put one guy in front of the net. But the Flyers are killing pretty aggressively. And we'll stop and show you their box right now. Notice how it moves up with the play. All right? There's really no danger back here, so the whole box shifts up in this direction. They have to move as a unit, and they moved well. The Jets still working it on the outside. Nobody in front, nobody in the middle of the box. Now we'll stop right now. This is as tight a box as you will see in this sequence right here. You know why? That's why, right there. The Flyers closed. Now we'll stop and show you once again. Very aggressive. Out to the point. The two top killers have their man right there and one right here. And Terry Carter moves out to his position. Really, the only play the Jets have, because they don't have anybody in the middle of the box, is that shot right there from the point. And an attempted overload in front. The Flyers sag back in with their own overload and end up staving off the Jets' power play on that one. I want to show you a great play. The Jets have just bogged down. 3 Flyers have forced a turnover, and here goes Jeff Chychrun. There's the puck. He's going to come out this way. It's a simple play, folks, but it's a great play. Watch Chychrun dump it in. I'll stop and show you where he's going to dump it in. He finds a seam right here and dumps it into the corner. Why should he dump it there? I'll tell you why. He's got Rick Tocchet there. Another forward, another forward. Nobody's over here. Don't dump it hard around on this side. He's trying for the carom, and what does he get? Perfect carom. We'll stop and show you that it went off the boards, out to here. There it is. Rick Tocchet's just going to sweep in here and beat Bob Essenza with a low shot. Nice play by Jeff Chychrun, even though it was a simple one. All right, Jets killing the penalty. Murray Craven with a nice save back at the point. Watch the Jets force. Craven's going to move it over here. Very aggressive by the Jets. We'll stop right here and show you 2 of the Jets on 1 Flyer. Now keep in mind, the Jets are down a man. Another great save by Craven. Moves it in right here to Rick Tocchet. We'll stop and show you 2 Jets on 1 Flyer. Aggressive. Play will go to Tim Kerr. Watch this man force him. But now we stop and show you can force too much. 3 Jets all over here. Pelle Eklund all alone. And a great feed from Tim Kerr. Took advantage of the Jets getting a little too aggressive. Rick Tocchet is 23rd from Chychrun. Howardchuk is 19th. Pelle Eklund is 11th from Tim Kerr and Rick Tocchet. The stage is set for the 3rd period. We're tied at 4.
I have this appalling reputation.
Yes, I have been warned about you.
What is true of most men is doubly so of him.
I can't.
Is love what you mean?
You promised
yes,
not to
of
speak
course,
of it.
I understand, but I must know.
I can't.
I want the excitement of watching her betray everything that's most important to her.
I love you so much. You may genuinely be unaware of this, but I can see quite plainly that you're in love with this woman.
No, not at all. Why do you suppose we only feel compelled to chase the ones who run away?
Immaturity.
What is it, Nick? You need some chapstick or something? Because your lips keep getting stuck on your teeth. Or is that your idea of a smile?
let's not discuss my business or his business or your business, okay?
But that leaves us with nothing to talk about.
Well, your friend is not going to get away with what he's gotten away with for 15 years.
My phones have funny little noises on them. You're setting me up, Nick. So if I asked you out, maybe you'd accept.
Dating is not a criminal activity, Mr. McHugh. You're a bad boy, Nick. You're a very bad boy. I didn't mean to hurt you.
Just looking at you hurts more.
You are in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He lied to me. He wouldn't shoot me over money.
Oh, that's a lot of money. What's it gonna be, Nick?
Mel Gibson, Michelle Pfeiffer, Kurt Russell, Tequila Sunrise.
Reggett 25 saves, Essenza 11. A 4-4 tie as we go into the third period of action. There are no carryover power plays. So the Jets with 29 shots. They outshot the Flyers 17-5 in that period. Reaction you hear in the background is oriented toward Sylvester Stallone. And he is watching Jets and Flyers Roman numeral 3. Period just underway. And behind the net, good hit that time by Mike Bullard. Well, the Flyers come out with a little spunk here at the start of the third. Puck worked ahead now by Sykes. Sykes sails one that goes to the corner. McElwain is there. Pestered by Huffman. Boy, barreling in are McDermott and Tocchet, a couple of hard-nosed players. Tocchet with a pass, and Craven has it. Moving in. Looks. Shoots. Score!
What a great play. Murray Craven had gotten in behind everybody, and Rick Tocchet saw him. You see him looking for him? Craven had the stretch to get it. And once he got it, he still had to control it, but watch where he shoots it. He's got Essenza backing up. Well, we'll show you where he shot it. Craven did a good job of getting control of the puck and then cutting for the net. And as he cut for the net, Essenza just stood there. But you notice that Essenza started to go down, and he showed him a whole bunch of five-hole. That space right between the legs. Murray Craven took what he was given. I like it. He didn't go in with a preconceived idea about what he was going to do. He shot where there was an opening and made no mistake. And that's a 4-point night for Tocchet with that assist. 2 goals, 2 assists.
The last time he had a 4-point night was November 11th at New Jersey with 2 and 2. Here is Smith. Taken to the boards. Puck played by Sutter. Knocked loose by Ellenok. And for the first time in the game, the Flyers are ahead. Samuelson behind leads it over to Huffman. Huffman's pass is hooked away from Sutter. Trying to turn with it is Brent Ashton, and he's able to lay it on back to Newmanen. So the Flyers strike early here in the third. Tocchet the lone assist on Craven's 19th at 32 seconds. It is Samuelson with a pass that goes all the way back down. They say no icing on this one. Turning back to get it is Taglianetti. Locked up with Linsman. Linsman steps by, but going to get it is Prop. To the back now to Murphy. Shovels one. And this knockdown. Prop picks it out. Backhander saved by Essenza. Picked up by Linsman. To the back to Kartner in a shot. Prop with a backhander knockdown. Another shot. And getting his pad on that one was Essenza. And the Flyers are throwing a lot at the net now. Taglianetti after it. Checked off by Tim Kerr. Wedges one that's picked up by Howardchuk. Here come the Jets again. Right now it's a 2-on-2. Howardchuk wants to step by Murphy. Peels off and dumps one that is poked loose by Reggett off a couple of players and dealt back onto Howardchuk. Finesses to the slot. Allen hit the post with a shot. And Kerr knocked it away. Oh, it was just that close of being a tie again.
Paul Holman might want to consider assigning a forward on a line to take care of Howardchuk when the Flyers lose the puck. Boy, we've seen some of his magic. Not only in this third period, but earlier in the game. Boy, he made a great play when he came over the blue line and fooled everybody. You know, he turned left. Looked like he was going to just let the play die. Made a great pass. And before that, the Flyers at the other end. What a great flurry they had around Bob Essenza. Good scoring chance by Brian Prop. And then the Jets went racing down to the other end in a reverse angle look at Dave Ellett's shot that went bing right off the top of the post or the crossbar behind Ken Reggett.
Off this face-off, puck taken by Chychrun. One-handed around. Craven is there, bumps along with Mo Mantha. Then it's turned back out. Mike Fuller watching as Ellett goes back down. Tocchet right on him, and Ellett with the touch-up for an icing, and back it'll come near Ken Reggett. Rick Tocchet with 2 goals and 2 assists tonight. Tim Kerr has a couple of assists. Brian Propp also with 1 assist. Craven with a goal.
Well, we've talked about somebody having to take the lead. Rick Tocchet with his 4 points. Murray Craven with his great goal. Had it cocked. Had the puck in shooting position. And Essenza committed first. And as soon as he did, bingo, number 32 just snapped it between his pads. Boy, oh boy, I'll tell you, Ken Reggett has had a busy night. Let's not overlook the performance of Ken Reggett so far in this game. The Jets have gotten 4 by him, but he made some great saves in the second period to keep the game close.
Absolutely right. Craven will be the one to take this face-off with Boschman. Couple right wing and Smale the left. Stepping back for this is Huffman. Chychrun wedged off Kumpel so that Huffman could wind the boards. Smale darting back for this one. Mo Mantha there as well. Doug Smale, whose team trails in this game now, 5-4 with 17:10 left in the third. Mantha just cradles it, then gets it back again. Try to pass, but Tocchet was right in on him, and Mantha to the wall to battle Tocchet. Tocchet dumps one along, and Craven goes to get it. Has Bullard in the slot. Couldn't get it to him, and here comes Kumpel. One-on-one with Kerry Huffman back. Kumpel drifts off, looks for a pass, still looking, sends one in front, then Reggett tipped to the glass. Now it's Smale, dealing it back off to Boschman to Carlisle, and he hit the post. Just hit the outside right at the ice level. Now it is drilled back along by Smale. Reggett to tap it behind. Jeff Chychrun takes it as the Jets are in the midst of a change. Forechecking that time and loosing it was McDermott, but it was sent back to Newman. Then across to Carlisle, then into the skates of Sykes. Bill Sykes dumped that one back in. Reggett guides it around the boards, and Sinisalo waiting. Tried to jam one out to Derek Smith. Sykes reconnects with Carlisle, and then back it comes to Newman. 16:10 to go in the third. Flyers have the lead at 5-4 if you're just joining us. Reggett out to knock this one loose and then set it up for Chychrun. Lifted one along, but pinching with Sykes. Net there by Murphy. Puck thrown behind the net, and Chychrun knocked the net off of the magnet, taking McDermott into it. Play is stopped here at the Spectrum. Fans here are happy. The home team leads.
It all comes down to one special event, the 1990 Subaru Bowl, now being played at all 25 Delaware Valley Subaru Crew locations. Just reach into the Subaru Bowl and get a $100 to $1,000 bonus card. Cash it in when you buy a hot new Subaru Legacy, Rumi Loyale, Sporty XT, or Economical Justy. Plus, there's factory-to-dealer incentives and rebates on selected models, and anyone can enter a drawing to win the grand prize, a trip to the 91 Super Bowl. Hurry in and win big in the 1990 Subaru Bowl. It all ends January 29th.
You know, this will be a real confidence tester now. You can see the time remaining, 15:59. How bad do you think the Flyers want to win? How bad do you think they need a win? 16 minutes is a long time. It's going to be a big test.
They desperately need one, and they've shown here early in the third that they really want one. But again, you mentioned the 16 minutes that remain. Puck turned back out now, and Olesen is there. Eklund and Lintzman and Kerr, the front line for the Flyers. Samuelson and Murphy in back. Olesen steps ahead, plops one wide of the Flyer cage. Reggett stops it there. Samuelson able to roll it along. Tim Kerr is there too. Kerr tried to drill it along. Second effort found it going off McCreary's skates. Then third effort to Lintzman and along to Eklund. Eklund moving back in, and Kerr tried to drag his skate and stay onside, but could not. So a neutralized faceoff to result out of this.
You know, Tim Kerr is one guy I don't think could ever lose his confidence. He seems to have that, I don't know, plexiglass bubble that surrounds him, and it keeps the confidence inside of him. But a lot of athletes do lose confidence, and when you're on the ice, if you lose confidence, that means you start to hesitate. And when you hesitate, it means that you're thinking out there. And you know what happens? You become a spectator when you think in the game of hockey, and the game actually goes right by you. It leaves you behind. You got to react. You can't think, right? Thinking doesn't mean reacting. You just have to react that quick. Even if you react incorrectly, it's better than thinking.
And that's every position out there,
oh,
too,
yeah,
isn't
sure.
it? I remember Jacques Plante, a lot of times when he was working with the Flyers, one of the dangers of being with someone who was so renowned as a goalkeeper is that goaltenders would study so much what he would tell them that they would start thinking instead of reacting. And oftentimes there'd have to be a sort of a grace period during which they'd be allowed to make some mistakes until they'd recover and realize, hey, we got to go back to what we did, and that's react. Yuri Lottle hasn't been on the ice lately, and we understand he's having a shoulder checked right now. Games coming up following this 3-game road trip will be the Hartford Whalers on the 1st, the North Stars 11 a.m. on the 3rd, and that's so that the Spectrum can be prepared for the Carnival the next day. That will be on the 4th. 3-hour sessions beginning at 1 and at 6. And we should mention that Prism will be here with their cameras for a special telecast that day, but come and enjoy all the fun, just as these Flyers fans are doing tonight here at the Spectrum. Off the face-off, puck taken by Ellett, rolled along to Mo Mantha. 14 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the 3rd. Flyers have the lead at 5-4, and Mantha brings it ahead. Steps right through, but then is hooked back by Murphy. Tried to center and got it along for the pivoting Fenton. Fenton trying to shake Terry Kartner, but can't. Kartner comes right back at him with the body and is able to nudge the puck ahead to Bullard, who just lifts it back out. Ellett there. Boy, Mo Mantha with a burst of speed almost broke through the defense had it not been for the hook. Now here is Tocchet trying to control. Backhander. It's saved by Essenza, as Tocchet has just been a big force out there tonight for the Flyers. Puck now taken by Puslowski, able to bring it on and dump it in for a shift change that will bring out Smale to work along with Ashton and Kumpel. Dale Hawerchuk steps over the boards too. I just want to double check. Yeah, another change has been made. Carlisle is back on defense. I was counting 4 forwards for a moment. Now behind it is Essenza, rolling one back around the boards. That is tapped loose for Hawerchuk. Bumped it right back out to center ice. Then Smale was sent flying. Behind now it's Essenza. Yanked around the boards by Numanen, but cut off by Sinisalo. And these are things that were not happening for the Flyers earlier in the game. Jets able to bring it back out. Trying to get loose with it is Hawerchuk, floating it on back to Carlisle. 13:35 as Carlisle hands to Numanen, then a cross off Hawerchuk and brought on by Carlisle. Carlisle's pass went back into Sinisalo. Carlisle trying once more, and he's able to emerge and then is pestered by Sinisalo. Gets a pass up to Hawerchuk, who has to double back. Leads for Kumpel, but instead gets Huffman.
You know, for the most part tonight, and we talked about this earlier, the Flyers have really taken the neutral zone lanes away. There are 3 lanes. One's a center, one's on the right, one's on the left. And the Jets keep swinging through all of those different lanes. And you can see in this last sequence, they aren't able to get any attack going. The Flyers are taking all of those lanes away from them with real good positional zone play in the neutral zone.
Boy, you can really see that, too. Carlisle's pass went all the way down. This will be an icing call as Kartner touches up. 12:48 to go, 3rd period. Flyers have had the lead for about 7 minutes now and still hold it 5-4.
As you can see, the house is completely renovated with the very best heating and cooling system.
Must be a Lennox.
So we put in this new central air, and our bills are really...
Down?
Exactly.
Must be a Lennox.
Our furnace? Not a day of trouble, ever. Must be a good one.
Must be a Lennox.
It must be.
Lennox Heating and Air Conditioning. Since 1895. Must be a Lennox.
Attaboy, Dave.
Rick Tocchet's got this sneaky poke check. He just coils his stick and then snaps it out. Very often he makes contact. It's almost like a coiled snake, and you don't know when it's coming because he's not always reaching for you. He ended up getting a pretty decent backhand shot away right there after turning the puck over, creating a Jet turnover just inside their blue line.
Oh, good shovel shot off the faceoff by Berube wide. Then Kartner a shot tipped wide by Berube. Horacek stepped into by Taglianetti, and pivoting with this now is Boschman. Just dropped it on back, and the Jets are able to move it back up ice. Carrying this is Olesen. Pass ahead. Oh, and he had a guy breaking up the wing. Had he been able to connect with McElwain, there might have been a breakaway there. But it is dumped back in by Taglianetti and then set up by Reggett for Kartner. Kartner pursued, flips one that is gloved down by Taglianetti. Dumped back behind the net. Kartner able to drive it back along, and Horacek there. Stepped into by Sykes. Eklund able to feed back up now to Berube. Berube crosses and nudges up the wing, and Horacek in. Shoots one that is deflected wide by Taglianetti, and then Samuelson tried to keep but couldn't. On comes McDermott. Checked though by Eklund. Sykes has to control back to Ellett to get some room. Then Mantha across from McElwain to Ellett, then back up for Sykes. Taken right out of the play. Good work there by Brian Propp. Flipped into Mantha, turns one right on net. Reggett will just keep it and get the hold to play.
Folks, do you want to avoid the traffic trouble spots? Well, if you do, you need shadow traffic. Listen to shadow traffic reports and Sunoco traffic updates. They're everywhere in your hometown as we speak.
Now, as you look at it again, and I was advised by one of our viewers from the Harrisburg area between periods that if you look at it carefully and look for a jet in white, so you can spot it. But boy, you do have to look very carefully to notice that.
It's an F-14 with hair growing out of it.
He was pointing out that he had noticed it in the Toronto newspaper, the design, and that I think helped. But boy, the first time you look at that on camera, as tight as we can get, well, you just can't pick out any sort of design at all there. Here is Propp, dumping one back around the wall, went back over near Ellett, locks up with Tim Kerr. Still the battle on along the boards, and Kerr wants to nudge it along and get it deeper. Ellett is there, and finally play is frozen, and so again, a halt to action with 11:19 to go in the third. Shots on goal in this period for the Jets 3 and for the Flyers 4. Those of you who may not have heard our telecast the other night, Tim Kerr sustained some scars to his face in a fall during the All-Star break. But he has had that strong shoulder, even though he did not practice yesterday. His shoulder has been very sound in these two games, and he's collected 4 points over the 2 games. Penguins leading Detroit 4-2 in the third. Islanders and Boston are tied now 2-2 in the third after Boston had the first 2 goals. 2-1 Hartford over St. Louis in the second, and Calgary has a lead on the Rangers 1-0 in the first. Off the face-off, it is Boschman. Boschman able to tip one ahead for Fenton, locked up though by the checking of Murphy. Puck comes across near Bullard, but Mantha able to get it ahead. Moving in with this is Ellett. Ellett just waits. A pass across was away from Fenton, but gathered in by Kozlowski. Swings one in front. Boschman directed it just wide, and he almost caught Fenton in front for a tap. Now it is brought up by Mike Bullard. Bullard trying to rag in and out of trouble. Couldn't get a shot away, but a nice move by Craven to Murphy. In front. Save made by Essens on Tocchet, who was looking for the hat trick. Now Tocchet behind. Ellett right over to play that. It's dumped back off near Fenton, but poked to the point. Murphy, a shot deflected by Tocchet. Another shot! And Essens got that one too. As the Flyers just all around the net. They have a lead by 1, and it nearly was 2. Down the ice it goes. There's no icing call here. Both teams are making a complete change. As back up with it comes Terry Kartner. He's got Smith moving ahead. Really hit by Kumpel after he'd lofted that one back in. Essens sets it up. Newmanen tries to guide it around. Nearly lost it to Sutter. Sutter got to the front and then was knocked away. And so back on now comes Kumpel. Lays it on the wing for McElwain, but that didn't work. Loose puck picked up by Smith, but lost just that quickly to Newmanen. Then regathered by Terry Kartner. Kartner pestered by Smale. Off a loose stick, it comes to Kumpel. Dumped back on the wing, and here's McElwain moving in. McElwain tries to dip the shoulder. Fought off by Chychrun. Takes some lumber from him. Swings it in front. Backhander flipped off Reggett. Is it over or not? The light comes on, and it is a goal, and Reggett is steamed on this goal.
I don't know what he was arguing, Mike. But he ended up down when I think it was Kozlowski that backhanded it in front. And somebody had to redirect it, because you'll see that the backhand pass came from almost on the goal line, if not behind the goal line. There's a reverse angle look at it. The Jets got the Flyers running around, but, well, it wasn't behind the line. It was about 6 inches in front of the line. But that centering pass went parallel to the goal line, hit Ken Reggett, looked like in the chest, but Reggett was jumping back to try and get into position, and somehow Ken Reggett, I think, put this in himself. We'll see. Smale was on the side. There's the dump pass back out, and Ken Reagan, just his momentum carries him into the net. The puck is actually under him now. It's under his left leg. And the Jets have come back and tied it. 5-5 in the third. 9:28 to go.
Offside called. It'll go to the last to touch it, so we'll get the official scoring on this, but game is now knotted at 5. 9:25 to go.
Oh, yeah!
Amtrak is the better way to Atlantic City. Special bonuses add to the fun. Daily service. Call your travel agent or call Amtrak at 1-800-USA-RAIL.
Bye-bye, old boy!
Newman is the man who gets the goal. McElwain and Kumpel the assist. Down to the ice has gone Eklund, and there'll be a penalty coming up against the Jets. So just that quickly, the Flyers will get a power play and a chance to break the tie again. Bill McCreary goes over to check on Eklund, who seems to be all right. So this will just be a minor, and the call will be high sticking.
Last goal will probably win this game. Pat Ellenuk getting his stick up on Pelle Eklund, as Eklund was just trying to get away to do some forechecking. Coming into tonight's game, Pat Ellenuk was leading the Jets in goal scoring, and still is. He has 20 goals on the season. But we haven't noticed him a lot in this hockey game tonight. The Flyers have done a good job on him.
Well, Tim Kerr and Tocchet, two of the hotter hands the Flyers have had in this game, are out there now for the power play shift. Eklund also up front. Murphy and Craven will be the point men. Kerr tried to work it to the point, but in the way was McElwain for the clear back down, and Smale goes striding back, so Reggett will have to handle. Dumping it back off toward Kerr, and Kerr popped it out of play, but I think off of Ellett, and so at the point it was let go. Regardless, it'll be a neutralized faceoff to come out of this. McElwain and Kumpel, the assists on Newman's fifth at 10:24. That has tied this game at 5.
Flyers will have to watch number 20 of the Jets, Dave McElwain, pretty closely. He leads their team in shorthanded goals. He's got 5 of them. I think that's a new team record, too. He's got good speed. Another one of those fast forwards. Bob Murdoch said today that is his best asset. It's his speed.
Puck chopped along by Taglianetti, then flipped further by Smale. McElwain left it behind, though. Eklund is able to start along, but Kerr was still in the zone, and that caused the play to lose flow. Half a minute gone on the power play. 8 minutes, 35 seconds to go in the third period. The Jets have led by 1 goal 4 times, the Flyers by 1, and each time it has been a tie resulting. Right now the tie is at 5. Puck back to Craven, couldn't hold. So it is Murphy moving back at neutral ice over to Craven. We're about ready for a change in personnel here. Bullard is standing at the bench if they can get the change brought about. It's wrapped along, and Taglianetti is there. Drips one that went through Craven, trying to keep it as Kerr, and they ruled that he did, but it is blocked loose, and then Sykes goes down. Turning with this is Murphy now with 53 seconds to go on the power play and 8 minutes to go in the third. Puck shoveled toward Kerr. He's got Tocchet there. Score! The hat trick!
What a night for Rick Tocchet. 2 assists to go along with his 3 goals. The hat trick on that play. Kind of a broken bouncing play, and number 17 of the Jets, Phil Sykes, went right after Bill McCreary after the play. The Flyers really got away with one. Sykes was tripped down right near the blue line, and it wasn't called. The Flyers got the puck, moved it back in, and Rick Tocchet just slid that one home. And you know what? Essens has created his own monster a couple of times tonight by going down early and leaving space between his legs. Rick Tocchet just slid it. He wasn't going for a spot. He was just trying to get it on goal. 24th of the year for Rick Tocchet. And with just under 8 to go, the Flyers lead 6-5.
Big night for the Flyers' Wives Fight for Lives Carnival. 3 goals for Tocchet at 200 apiece. 1 for Murray Craven at 200. Hi-Fi House donates 200 for Craven. And the Bell of Pennsylvania Yellow Pages a total of 600 so far. for Rick Tocchet. And for a hat trick by Tocchet, Pep Boys donates $500.
So what's that add up to? About 1,300.
Yeah, that's fine.
What a great boost for the carnival. Well, does anybody else get the feeling that this baby ain't over yet? I said last goal would win. Question is that the last goal we're going to see?
I don't think so. It is Samuelson. 17,329 going nuts here. They are as anxious as the team out there that they are cheering for to break this awful strand of 10 games without a win. And the Flyers have battled back gamely here, trailing by a goal 4 times tonight, and now getting a 1-goal lead, 6-5. Puck wound around, and Boschman is there. Locked up with Derek Smith. Puck stolen by Fenton. Kozlowski has scored, and the game is tied. On a steal from Fenton, it is now 6-6.
Well, this is starting to border on the bizarre. The Flyers just overcompensated to a degree along the boards and had 2 men against 2 Jets. Now, that's not an overcompensation. Everybody's taken care of there. Shel Samuelson was reluctant to move out to Kozlowski because Fenton pulled away right there. See the guy in the background? He passed it out. Now, if Samuelson moves right out at Kozlowski, Fenton moves right to the net all by himself. Pretty well positioned by the Jets. The Flyers would have had to have somebody back in deeper. Maybe Ron Sutter could have come back in deeper. But it's too late to search for answers on that one now. 6-6, 7:20 to go.
Kerr and Eklund assist on Tocchet's 24th, his second hat trick of the year at 12:03. Kozlowski's 11th from Fenton and Laurie Boschman 22 seconds later at 12:35. The feed comes to Dale Hawerchuk. Tried to throw one in front. It kicked over to Craven. Turned back out to Mike Bullard. A 5-point night for Rick Tocchet, his first 5-pointer of the season. Puck sent back in deep, and Ellett is there. Rammed by Tocchet. Puck drilled along the boards, and it skipped off of Karkner. Karkner dumps it back around toward the corner, and Craven locks up there with Mo Mantha. Mantha goes down. Stoppage of play. 6:41 to go in the third. The teams are tied at half a dozen each.
Here's the last stop on our tour. The Fountain of Youth.
This one's on me.
How about an ice cold bud, young man?
I love this job.
Well, Rick Tocchet has been about as omnipresent as any player could be on the ice tonight. Dave Ellett going back into the corner. Crunch. You know what happens to Rick Tocchet? They go hand in hand. When he hits, he scores, and when he scores, he starts to hit. All components of his game start to work when one sort of leads the other, and tonight it has been the scoring that has led the way, and the hitting has followed.
Essenza with a save, and the puck tipped over the glass, and so is 6:35 to go in the third. We are tied at 6 still.
Remember, folks, it makes good sense to drink responsibly. Know when to say when. This is a reminder from your friends at Budweiser.
Paul Fenton is the big point getter tonight for the Jets with 3. For Rick Tocchet, his first 5-point night since November 20th of 1988, when he had 3 goals and 2 assists against the New Jersey Devils. Tim Kerr with a couple of assists, but the big story tonight has, check that, 3 assists for Kerr. The big story tonight has been Tocchet. So Tim Kerr made a strong return to the Flyers lineup, a goal and an assist 2 nights ago against Buffalo, and 3 assists here tonight.
You know, Bob Murdoch, the Jets coach, is on a bit of a diet, and it's getting to him. He's a fun-loving guy. He's cut out beer and desserts, and he said just the other night in Washington, what was last night? He said, boy, we were really on a high. We won with 3 seconds to go. We hadn't won in 3 games. I went back to the hotel, couldn't have a beer, Couldn't even have a piece of carrot cake for dessert. He said to his assistant coach, he said, I guess I'll just go to bed and dream about that bran muffin I'm going to have for breakfast, and that's all I have to look forward to. He was joking about it, well, but it's hard, you know, when he wanted to just have a beer to celebrate.
I expected to see layers and layers of fat on that guy. There aren't any.
No,
what's he on a diet for?
Oh, he got a couple to lose, not many.
Kartner a shot, and that tipped high into the seats by Essence. Now, what's he got the body fat down to? What, 10%? And that's not good enough, huh?
I think he's afraid to check.
Oh,
he's afraid to check. Puck was deflected up into the crowd. Terry Kartner moved into the side of the circle and let this one rip. And you can see again, Essence down, waiting for that shot. And, you know, when it comes from that far out, you can cover low pretty well. And it's a pretty good bet that a defenseman is going to shoot low from that area. But going down has to be timed perfectly. And Essence hasn't timed it perfectly on a couple of the Flyers' goals tonight.
Ron Sutter with Prop on the left, Sinisalo on the right. Kartner at the left defensive point. And over on the right side, it is Chychrun. Howard Chuck on the draw with Sutter. It's held back to Kartner. Shot, stick safe, rebound, score! Sutter!
Well, it's now a converted touchdown. 7 for the Flyers. They've taken the lead. Great face-off by Ron Sutter. And we talked about the low shots from Terry Kartner. That's exactly what that was. Howard Chuck against Sutter. Sutter got some help on the draw from Brian Propp. And Essence created his own monster by leaving the rebound right out front. Spinorama move by Ronnie Sutter. And the Flyers lead 7-6. But don't touch that dial. 6 minutes to go. The Flyers lead by 1.
It's his number 29, Terry Kartner.
Well, Carlisle along to Howard Chuck. Brought on by Smale. Shoots, and it's tipped to the seats by Samuelson. 5:55 to go in the third. Here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, 13 goals, and the Flyers with a 1-goal lead.
It just got better. The Guaranteed Rebate from Dodge. Now, the Guaranteed Best Rebates this model year are extended to Dodge's family of family cars. 1,000 on Dynasties, 1,000 on Spirits, and 1,000 on Sporty Shadows. That's the Guaranteed Rebate, only from your Dodge dealer. Nobody can match us. Not Ford, not Chevy, nobody. Hurry, final days. This offer ends January 31st.
See your local Dodge dealer today, where the spirit always shows.
Brian Propp with a couple of assists. Tocchet with a couple, plus his 3 goals. Tim Kerr with 3 assists. Eklund with 1 and 1, and Craven with 1 and 1 as well. Those are the multiple point people for the Flyers. The Jets have 2 goals and an assist from Fenton, 2 assists from McElwain, and a goal and an assist from Kozlowski, and that's it.
And if you've been with us, especially in this third period, you know now that the Flyers could really use another goal. One hasn't been enough. The 1-goal lead.
Bullard on the draw, won it cleanly away from McElwain. McElwain right after him, but Bullard is able to step free with the puck and start back out. Mike Bullard opening it up a little bit with the dump in for Tocchet. Tocchet and Carlisle go back, and Tocchet bullies him off. Puck dumped along the boards, and it is Sykes to lay it back out again for McElwain. Flicked from him by Samuelson. Sykes follows up and dumps it in, and Reagan is out to play. Dumped along lamely to the corner, and it is McDermott setting it up. Out in front, oh, and a stopper attempt by McElwain was tipped to the corner. Now McElwain again, deals it back off to McDermott. McDermott pivoting, he's got Newman in front, can't get it to him. Down on the ice is Sykes trying to play. It's floated back along to Craven and then dumped back out. Along with it comes Sykes. The drop comes back to McElwain. Flips one that is gloved by Reggett, and he'll just hang on and get a stoppage of play. Boy, it reminds you of the Jersey Knights and the Cleveland Crusaders, doesn't it? World Hockey used to have a lot of games just like this. I mean, they aren't dull.
Well, yeah, and you know what, Mike? At this stage, the Flyers could care less if it's 19-18. You know, they need a win. They don't need a classic win right now. Spinorama try by McElwain. Good play by Kerry Huffman to stay with them. But don't you agree with that? I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 10-9. It's the 2 points they want. And let's face it, this isn't going to be a complete turnaround. This is hopefully, if the Flyers can pull this one out, going to be a block in the foundation of that rekindling of the confidence and that turnaround. I mean, it just doesn't happen like that. There's no magic switch that you can flip.
Linseman and Boschman will go for the face-off. Stepping in early was Kerr. Dan McCourt ready to drop it with 4:59 to go in the third. 7-6 Flyers. Puck controlled and spun along by Kozlowski. Knocked down by Murphy. Flick loose and Boschman is there. Still the battle on. Linseman and Kozlowski behind, and Boschman couldn't take it away. Now he moves in and is locked up by Murphy. Boy, a lot of hard work on the walls behind the Flyers' net. Linseman turned one along that Mo Mantha gloved out of play. And we get a halt with 4:36 to go in the third. At the noisy Spectrum in Philadelphia, it's 7-6 Flyers.
Hey, Rick, you going to be there?
Yeah, I'm going to be there. Ole, you going to be there?
Yeah, I'll be there. Are you going to be there, Smitty?
Yeah, how about you, Scott? Are you going to be there? Of course I'm going to be there. Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Well, it'll be Howard Chuck to step in opposite Ron Sutter. Smith on the left of Sutter. On the right, it is Sinisalo. Ellenuk the right wing and Ashton the left wing. Mantha back on defense with Ellett. Now Ron Sutter leads the faceoff, and Derek Smith will come in. Karkner and Chikrin the defense for the Flyers. Off this tie-up, it is Smith able to dump it back toward Karkner. Dumps one off for Sutter. Able to grab it with the glove and turn it loose up to Derek Smith. Moops in with Sinisalo and rifles one that Essenza is able to block away. That one knuckleball. Sinisalo in, hit to the wall by Ellett. Puck up along the boards, and Sinisalo able to step away. Everything just froze for a moment, so Sinisalo stepped aside. Now he's back behind centers, and it's taken by Ellenuk. Sets it back up for the carry by Dale Howardchuk. Howardchuk got away from the check by Sutter. Off of Ellenuk, it's brushed loose and back out. And a chance now for Sinisalo with Mantha back on defense. Wrist shot blocked away by Mantha. Sinisalo taken to the boards. To a side there, and peeling off where Ellett and Ron Sutter sort of preoccupied with themselves for a moment. Bill McCreary just watching, and now signals that play should stop with 3:46 to go in the third.
Boy, Ron Sutter was really upset when he was thrown out of the faceoff circle, and you could see a lot of that adrenaline show itself. He took a couple of runs at Dave Ellett when Ellett didn't even have the puck. And now is the time for discipline. I'll tell you what, the Jets sure don't need a penalty right now, and you know the Flyers don't need one, but there was one of the hits right there of Sutter on Ellett, and there had been one before that. They were going at it. Boy, discretion is the better part of valor in a situation like this when you're clinging to a one-goal lead. 3:46 to go now.
Well, Mike Bullard will try to win this one away from McElwain. Ron Finn getting them lined up. 7-6 the score. If you're just joining us, Flyers have the lead. Off the face-off, it's dumped behind by Carlisle. Then along to Newman, floated it through Carlisle, and back now for the control by McDermott. Then to Newman, but it went right through him. So it is Murphy flipping one along that is brushed loose. McElwain couldn't start away with it. Carlisle able to finesse it behind the net. Good play by the defense of Randy Carlisle. And he rolls one ahead, trying to get it ahead for McElwain, but instead it's controlled by Bullard. And Mike Bullard just shovels one back in deep. 35 shots for the Jets, 27 for the Flyers. Means nothing. The Flyers have the lead on the scoreboard, 7-6. But this is brought back up by the Jets now. It's a 3-on-3. Flyers have people back. Ahead now comes Sykes. Sykes crosses in, gets to the slot, drops to Carlisle, and he left it behind, and a 2-on-1 for the Flyers. Murphy and Tocchet on defense. It is Olesen to Tocchet, and getting back on the play with Sykes. Centering pass, Murphy, a shot blocked down by Olesen. Now coming after it is Bullard. Puck tipped away, though, and brought back up by Boschman. Oh, what a scare the Jets had there, and the Flyers almost able to convert one. It is Carlisle laying it ahead now to Boschman. 2:35 to go, and a shot juggled by Reggett. He's able to swing it away to the boards, and the Flyers in the midst of a 4-on-2. Tim Kerr starts ahead now, a 3-on-2. Eklund moves in and fires. Essenza popped it in the air, juggled it, and it's cleared back down by Fenton. Reggett sets it up and swings it back along to Chychrun with 2:15 to go in the third period. All the way down this ascent. No icing. Essenza stops it. Swings it back along for Olesen. And the Flyers in the midst of a change of their own. Up ice Boschman. Drills one wide that Reggett missed on. Now behind the net, Puslowski goes for it. Hands over to Fenton. This has been the big scoring line tonight, but Fenton gave it up to Sutter. Then to Eklund, who wants to start ahead on a breakaway. Poked it through, and then hung on to the stick of Mantha. Essenza was able to make the play for the Jets. Shift change on. Hawerchuk let that one go, but it is taken by Elenuk and handed back to Mantha. 1:35 to go here in regulation time. Flyers have the lead in the game, 7-6. Will they be able to shatter the chain that has bulldogged them back since the 30th of December? Elenuk with a pass on to Ashton. Crosses, run off the play by Sinisalo. Ilkka Sinisalo turns it loose. Mantha right there to get it. Shuffles one back that's forced over by Elenuk. On to Hawerchuk in front. Ashton, a diving play. Sinisalo net empty at the other end. Murphy flips one along that's tipped back out by Smith. 6 attackers now for the Jets. Wheeling back with it is Ellett. Deals one back off. Hawerchuk a shot. Juggled, caught, held by Reggett. And play is stopped with 57 seconds to go in the third. Now is not the time.
Boy, oh boy, what a third period. The Flyers were just a touch slow on their line change, but they had to make it. They had tired guys on the ice. I mean, and if the Jets were able to get their 6 men set up in the zone with a tired bunch of Flyers out there, that would have been a problem. So the Flyers' change was a little slow, and as a result, Dale Hawerchuk had that scoring chance. And then Ken Reggett just decided he was going to take it out and ditch it somewhere. Mike Fuller just leveled one of the Jets. Still don't know who it was. You got to know the cooler heads will prevail right now. That's Hawerchuk being roughed up by Rick Tocchet. Hawerchuk saying, let me back into the pile, man. Don't cut me out of the group.
Timeout Winnipeg with 57 seconds to go here in the third period.
30-second timeout.
Bob
He's looking for the right stick with the right stiffness and the toughest blade for this faceoff.
Strength against strength. Boschman against Sutter. McCourt to drop it. Off the tie-up. Everyone going for it, and it's jammed wide. Murphy brushed it, but right there is McDermott. Flips, but right to Murphy. Lofts one that is gloved down by Ellett. 37 seconds to play. Dumped beyond the reach of Hawerchuk. Murphy goes back. Pivots behind the net. Right in on him that time, though, was McDermott. Still the puck loose, and a centering pass dumped off by Murphy. Mantha unable to keep. Dumped it along in Karkner. Across to Tocchet, looking for 4. Tocchet moves in. He's got it!
Talk about a guy that has got his offensive confidence back all in one game. Rick Tocchet didn't even shoot this one from the blue line. The mere mortal would have, but Rick Tocchet made a move and actually went wide. Gord Murphy made 3 outstanding defensive plays, including getting the puck out of the zone. But here's Tocchet with the move on Dave Ellett. And he didn't baby it home, did he? He rammed her into the twine. 4 goals and 2 assists, and with 19 seconds to go in this game, Rick Tocchet has made it a 2-goal lead. The Flyers lead at 8-6. That's got to be enough, doesn't it?
I think it should be now. That's the last goal, I think, and the one that will win this. That's the second 4-goal game in Tocchet's career. His other was the 27th of February of '88 at Los Angeles. And the Flyers are going to take this one and clutch it and hug it and not get too enamored with it, because it wasn't necessarily beautiful, but it ends sweetly for them. The final score in the game, the Flyers 8, the Winnipeg Jets 6.
Everybody is happy, except the Winnipeg Jets. Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but I'll tell you what, the way the Flyers have been hurting for a win, it's got a great amount of beauty to it. Rick Tocchet with a huge night. Sealed it up with 19 seconds to go. And the Flyers have finally won a hockey game. Final score, 8-6. Flyers on top. We'll be right back.
Flyers are going to try to make sure that it is tonight, and that they'll have at least a little bit going for them when they spin onto the road in 3 tough places to win: Boston Garden, the Cap Center, and Pittsburgh.
Mike Laurie Boschman's over at the Jets bench changing sticks, and you know it's not a delay tactic because the teams have just had a couple of timeouts. You know what he's looking for? He's looking for the right stick with the right stiffness and the toughest blade for this faceoff.
Strength against strength. Boschman against Sutter. McCourt to drop it. Off the tie-up. Everyone going for it, and it's jammed wide. Murphy brushed it, but right there is McDermott. Flips, but right to Murphy. Lofts one that is gloved down by Ellett. 37 seconds to play. Dumped beyond the reach of Howardchuk. Murphy goes back. Pivots behind the net. Right in on him that time, though, was McDermott. Still the puck loose, and a centering pass dumped off by Murphy. Mantha unable to keep. Dumped it along in Karkner. Across to Tocchet. Looking for